What is going on, everybody? It is episode 395 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I'm here with my returning co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I am back yet again. Let's effing go. Pride Month is almost over. I am incredibly excited. How about you, Brett?
I venture no opinion. I venture no opinion
it's
because
almost over.
I haven't even seen that many displays anymore. Like
really?
I went to Target yesterday, and where there once was a display not that long ago, I did not see any. You know, maybe I'm just not looking for them.
I see the flags on every main street, from every coffee shop, from every library.
Any town that ends in I was around
every
here
town that ends in town.
in Berg. Any town that ends in Berg is going to have, there's towns all over here that, lean liberal in a lot of ways. It doesn't bother me, but at the same time, I see the parades and everything. The videos yesterday, I'm like, bleh. So, we got a bunch of stuff to get into. First, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about Ice Cube. He is calling out the anonymous, who is they, though, of Hollywood. That nobody knows. It's literally who the hell is they, because he's not saying who the hell they are. He says, you know who you are. I'm like, yeah, but that's not the point. I need to know who they are because they know who they are. That doesn't help me at all. So we're going to talk about that. He's talking about how he's not part of the club. He's never been part of the club. It's very... For a guy who's made movies for major motion pictures, like it's kind of a testament.
It really feels like an outcast.
Yeah, like no, that's what I'm saying. Like it's a testament to like feeling like you don't fit in. If you make movies for like Warner Brothers and you literally made the movie Friday, which was like a humongous part of our culture in the late 90s and early 2000s, to still feel like an outsider is kind of it says something. So we're going to discuss Ice Cube.
What Eyes Wide Shut party was he not invited to?
He's
that really like sent him over the edge.
He's been holding a grudge all these years. Like he was with his friend, like him and Ice-T were hanging out, and Ice-T got an invitation and he did not, and he was pissed. And so ever since then, he's just held a grudge.
He got confused with Ice-T.
So we're going to talk about that. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I put a poll up in the chat. I said, what is the best ice? Is it Ice Cube? Is it Ice-T? Is it Vanilla Ice? Or is it Ice Spice? You're going to have to let us know.
I voted Ice Spice because we need that Zoomer representation.
No, it is not Ice Spice. It can't be Ice Spice. I won't allow it. I'm gonna close the poll early if it starts to look like Ice Spice takes the lead.
Genuinely, her music or her like style of rap is not bad. Like I don't mind it, but I think it's just like it's the look that kind of bothers me. I don't really like her style.
Okay, well we're gonna talk about
and
Ice
like
Cube.
The mediocrity that she stands for. Yeah. Like she represents mediocrity in our culture, I think.
Okay. What else are we going to talk about? There it goes. I was like, when is it not working? We're also going to talk about the fact that Netflix is cashing in big on everything that happened on that sub at the bottom of the ocean, because they're bringing Titanic back. But it's really just a vehicle here. Hopefully one that doesn't sink, in which Mary can talk about all the things that
That was really clever, Brett.
Thank you. But Mary wants to talk about the sub because she was gone and she was denied the ability to talk about the sub. We have a $20 super chat here from Shane H. Wilder.
He said, stealth watching at the day job. Mary leaves for a few days and comes back as an addict. It's not the Zin. I partake myself. That's fine. Although crack? Really? Look, I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. LMFAO. Oh, hi, Brett.
Usually, I'm gonna give you a hint. In the realm of addiction, the "I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed" conversation happens way before the crack, my friend. The "I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed" stuff happens when your parents catch you smoking weed or something like that. By the time you've hit the crack pipe, your parents are not saying "I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed." They're mad by that point.
Alex Stein.
I know.
Alex Stein is like, it's fine if you smoke crack. You just have to do it under my own roof.
Exactly. It's like, I'm taking away your car keys.
But then he kept on switching between saying it was fentanyl and crack. I don't really know what I was doing, but we had fun.
Yeah,
we broke glass. We screamed. We burnt pride flags. It was crazy.
Okay.
It was not on YouTube.
Of course not. That does not sound like something that's YouTube friendly. We are also going to talk about the fact that Netflix has threatened Harry and Meghan. I'm going to have to make a Harry and Meghan playlist on the channel at some point because we talk about them so much. Netflix has threatened to keep a bunch of the money they signed over to them in that contract if they don't make content that people actually want to watch. Well, I don't know if these Netflix executives know much about the culture, but making stuff that people actually want to watch isn't really in the wheelhouse of Harry and Meghan. second. So we're going to talk about that. We got a bunch of other stuff. If you're ready, Mary, we can just get right into it. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Okay. But before we get started, thank you for that. Hit the like button on this video. Subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Also, remember that all Super Chats $20 and over, just like the one from Shane H. Wilder a minute ago, we will interrupt the discussion. We will read them right then and there. You can think of it as a form of torture for me, because now when I'm editing the segments on Friday's episode, guys, so many of them came in, and I'm editing the segments to go up later, and I'm like, none of this is gonna make any sense to anyone, because it's just like a whole discussion point based on a thumbnail, but then it's just peppered with all of these Super Chats that have nothing to do with it. And frankly, I love the chaos, so feel free to go ahead and keep doing that.
We love clickbait here.
Exactly. So, all right, let's get right into it. Start of the show. First things first, ladies and gentlemen, The Flash has collapsed, and it has collapsed big time. 73% box office drop week 1 to week 2. Woo!
Worst second weekend drop for any superhero movie other than Morbius, but I guess that means it's the worst second weekend drop for anything DC.
Yeah, and what's funny is because I still remember when Batman vs. Superman came out, and it felt like 63% week 1 to week 2. They're like, oh, it's the worst thing ever. Now Ben Affleck's like, yes. Wait, no, he's in both of them, so it doesn't help him. He's like, damn it, I'm box office poison now. So he has nothing to do. That's a huge percentage, and it's just funny because I didn't think the movie was that bad. It wasn't special, but it wasn't that bad.
It certainly wasn't the greatest superhero movie of all time.
Well, anytime you get the propaganda from the studio, you can't actually believe any of that. That's not real. So it says, by the way, and the reason it fell back to number 2 is that Spider-Verse took the #1 spot back.
Yeah, it just seemed like a bad time to release it because of Spider-Verse.
I mean, I don't know if there's a better time to release it. At the very a new movie could have come out, would have done the same thing to it. If anything, it probably should have stayed #1 this week, but it didn't.
The sooner they get it out and have people forget about it, the better.
Yeah, and Jennifer Lawrence's movie No Hard Feelings opens to $15 million. They want to bring back the hard R comedy rating. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I noticed that Jennifer Lawrence said she was born to do hard R comedies, and I was like, this is coming from like one of the most humorless Hollywood awfuls.
She's like, I send my parents pictures of my kids and then yell at them about Donald Trump.
No, about abortion of all things.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't think she's the one, but I was intrigued until I heard that it had full frontal nudity in it, and I'm not interested in seeing that.
Wait, so let me get this straight. She gets to be both the first female action hero of all time and the person who was born to do hard R comedy. No. We had a $20 super chat there from Tony Guevara.
Like the haircut, bro.
Yeah, I had to usually I go 2 on the side. I had to go 1 because it's just too. I have to get the hair cut too often.
The upkeep is too much.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have to keep going back and yeah.
Well, the upkeep for my hair is definitely worse.
Yeah, well, you know what? You're born with. Wait, no. What were we talking about, Freddie? Maybe she's born with it, but that's
maybe
Maybelline.
It's bleach.
Maybe it's bleach.
Also, I born with it. Maybe it's crack.
Somebody tagged me in a picture of you with the blue hair because you had the septum piercing.
Yeah.
And I made a joke about the booger piercing to someone. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize you had a septum piercing.
No, I didn't actually. That was a fake.
It was a fake one?
I just bought a fake when I was a teenager. I posted that because Ian Miles Chong is addicted to posting before and after pics of his controversial glow up.
Why is his glow up controversial?
Because people are like, oh, nothing changed. He did lose weight. Good for him, you know?
No,
but I was like kind of satirizing it, but not really. I just wanted to post one of my pictures from when I looked crazy.
We should all celebrate when people make those changes, right? Like, it's a lot of work. It's hard. If you've put on a ton of weight and you have to like get active, if you're not physically active on a regular basis, it's not an easy thing to do. So in a world that's humorless and depressing, maybe we should celebrate the good things.
He said, cut out the wokeness, Cheetos, and SSRIs from your diet.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what
tagline.
The wokeness part is clicky, but is clickbait. But like, he's right about the SSRIs and the Cheetos for sure.
I was never woke though. I've always been like this.
It's not a phase,
I'm proud
Mom.
of that. I'm proud of never having had like a liberal phase or like done some kind of paradigm shift.
Does that make me a woke? Because I consider myself.
But you've always been liberal.
Yes.
So I don't get the temperament of somebody who can. I can't hear myself very well.
Yep.
Could you turn me up?
Yep.
I don't really understand the temperament of somebody who can just like switch. I hear myself now. I'm good. who can switch from one extreme to the other. Like, you're just an extreme person.
Yeah.
Probably.
And I was always like even as somebody who was probably more liberal than he is now, like there was a point where I was like, why do all these people hate living here? Like, why do all these people hate America when they were born here? Like, that stuff never made sense to me. So I guess the underpinnings of what I currently am were there. It's just those issues weren't as prevalent as they are now.
Yeah, there's a difference though between going from like being a Nazi to going like Antifa.
Yeah.
Or the other way around, and like just being a liberal and the liberals shifting away from you.
Yeah.
You know, like you didn't change.
I don't feel like I've changed all that much. It feels like my friends and a lot of other people, but maybe I'm wrong. Like I always am willing to check myself before I wreck myself on that one. Like maybe I have changed more than I think, but it does feel like things have gotten more and more ridiculous. So Spider-Verse retakes number 1. Why do you think so? Do you think there's a place in comedy to come back with more hard R comedy?
Well, no, I watched 22 Jump Street also over the weekend.
Did it cure your anti-Semitism?
Well, my anti-Semitism was cured by 21 Jump Street. 22 Jump Street has made me a Zionist.
she opens up her shirt. It's a big picture of Benjamin Netanyahu.
No, it's just like Jonah Hill. Like,
I love
right
it.
there, front and center. But yeah, loved that. I thought about watching Spider-Verse over the weekend, but didn't.
Yeah.
Hard R comedies are not going to make a comeback if the only comedy that we can rely on is excessive vulgarity.
Yeah, that's all it will be too.
Which is part of it.
Yeah.
Like, sex comedy is part of it, but it's not the whole thing.
They were talking about people were saying, like, what is hard R comedy? Hard R comedy, in this case, it's just like they want to get back to the vulgar and the over-the-top comedy,
When
right?
Jennifer Lawrence said that she was born to do hard R comedies and that headline was circulating the news, Gen Z had never heard of that term before. I had never heard of that term before. And immediately they thought that she was talking about the N-word. So they were like, no, Jennifer Lawrence.
Don't say the N-word, Jennifer Lawrence.
That's obviously not what she meant. But, like, we're not going to reach a place where that true, like, irreverent humor is allowed again if you're still trying to... It sounds like No Hard Feelings was trying to teeter between woke and anti-political correctness, but it was really just vulgarity, it sounds like.
Which is right in line with Hollywood. It's an older woman's, like, preying on a child. Hollywood loves that stuff.
Okay, it's not a child. He's like, what, 19 in the movie?
I'm pulling a Kellen.
The marketing for this movie was done well, because the first marketing I saw for it was an Instagram ad that was like, we will pay you and give you a car if you date our 19-year-old son. It was not, like, it was completely unrelated to the movie. And
that's clever.
That stuck with me, and then I connected the dots like a month or two later.
Yeah.
That it was for the movie, but still, it just doesn't sound like they're hitting the mark.
And look, there has to be a certain amount of cavalier attitude to create good comedy that is never going to come back in the internet age, where the criticism is swift and comes back to you right away. Like, back in the day, like, think about this. If you made a movie that has ruthless comedy in it, by the time it's out, it's out.
Yeah.
And, like, nothing we can do about it now. Like, the criticisms will come in. Now the criticisms come in when the trailer comes out. The criticisms come out, like, not just in the test audiences, but when the trailers comes out. But also, like, you're going to have that pushback, and it's going to prevent you from getting other work if they feel like you're not marketable.
People are having obnoxious conversations about consent and age gaps, which is already on the timeline too often now.
Yeah.
It's just annoying. Not that I care, but, like, I don't want to talk about R-word culture and feminism.
Also, feminist comedy is an oxymoron, so
No.
it's not actually doable. You know,
Also, they're saying that it disparages sex workers because Jennifer Lawrence is playing a washed-up Craigslist escort.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, she's like an Uber driver and needs, like, money to repair her car, so she reads the ad and then and signs up for it.
Or she's a hooker and an Uber driver.
Well, I'll tell you this, guys. Say what you want about her ability to do or not do comedy, but she was smoking hot at the premiere. I will give her that.
Good for her. But she looks a little rough in the movie poster.
I think that's on purpose.
I guess so.
I think it's like it's supposed to be that way. I mean, there is some, like, okay, here's the other thing about being at Target the other day. It's really funny how like all of the people in the ads are they just look like normal people now.
Yeah, and I don't like it.
Like I kind of hate it, but at the same time I laugh because it's like it's a symbol of how narcissistic we've become as a culture. Whereas before you were bombarded with aspirational material to get you to like, oh, I would love to look like that. I should buy this because I imagine I could look like that if I wore this. Now,
it's subliminal.
Yeah, now you're just like, she looks like me. I guess it'll work for me. Like I was looking at one, it was an ad, and the lady had like gaps between her teeth, and that was like, that's kind of interesting because like that's not something that had anything to do with the product they were selling, but it's still something where people can see themselves in the ad, right? But then you see the ads for the people in clothes, and all the things they're modeling are like the XXL and above, and it's just like, I guess Target looks at the demographics for it and figures like all the moms who shop here run that size.
The average height and weight of an American woman is 5'4" and 170. So they just think we'll put that out there in our advertising. But do notice distinctly,
and it's funny too because it is one of the things where women come out on the short end of the stick, because then you look at the men's version of that where the guy just looks like a normal dad, and it's
the
just,
dad bod.
The guy just kind of looks like a dad, and then you're like, well, that's fine. But it's like when you see it in the women, somehow it's more blasphemous
because women's beauty is more valuable than men's beauty.
Yeah.
Simple as.
They could make I don't think they're going to make hard R comedies anymore. I don't think that that's really something that can plausibly come back in any meaningful way. When you have to put limitations on the comedy, it's no longer plausible to do in any type of real and respectful way, or any type of real way. The desire to be respectful over the desire to be funny is always going to kill your business model. Like it
also just doesn't show respect to the audience because you don't believe in their ability to interpret what they're watching,
which is funny because we were going to talk about the sub, and I was pointing out to people, I'm like, look, I can laugh at the memes but still find the people who genuinely want these people to suffer to be awful. Those are not the same thing.
Again, 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street are showing cops being irresponsible with their guns. Like, that would never fly today with like all of the conversation about police brutality.
I don't know. Wait, so I think it still could because it shows them in a bad light.
Like, 22 Jump Street starts with them like faking accents. Like that still, again, wouldn't fly today.
Yeah, I think you can do that today if it's not supposed to be comedic.
Well, then what would it be?
Yeah.
What's the point then?
Like I'm saying, in comedy you can't do it, but in regular movies you can fake accents.
And it works because they're the butt of the joke, and you, as the audience, are respected enough to like understand.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
It's a weird world. Like, comedy really does feel like it's one of those things where you're gonna have to just accept like that people are gonna be angry. Like, people could do it. They're just gonna have to accept that people are gonna be angry, and nobody's gonna be willing to take that risk these days.
I don't even think that people would be.
No, they're not
that angry. I don't.
The internet seems like they're angry, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. All right. Oh, by the way, Kanye West hired someone very specific. Who did he hire?
He hired the disgraced Jewish American apparel founder Dov Charney as his new CEO for Yeezy. This is interesting because Dov Charney was canceled back in like, what was it, 2016?
Was it that long ago?
Yeah.
I thought it was later than that. I thought it was like 2018 or 2019.
It was brewing for a while. But him and also
that guy
Terry Richardson, the photographer, they're just notorious pervy photographers, which
him and that
makes
guy,
them so good at their job.
Those two guys and the guy who they honored the Met Gala for last year should all hang out together.
But now that
the guy's still alive.
Yeah, now that indie sleaze is making a comeback.
Explain to everyone what indie sleaze is.
Well, you like, Brett, you are the generation that lived through the original iteration of indie sleaze, and now it's making a comeback because we're tired of all of the sensitivity and hand wringing. But it's this like fashion and music movement that was irreverent, and it was sleazy in nature, and I think that's part of the reason why Kanye's chosen Dove Charney.
You see the blown out photos from parties that some hypebeast photographer
Stuff
took,
like that.
and you're like, wow,
The Cobra Snake.
And yeah, I see stuff like that, and I'm just like, man, there are some Me Too allegations coming out in like 10 years that we're gonna hear about. You just know it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely for Dove Charney and Terry Richardson.
Yep.
I don't know about Mark Hunter, but also, like, Kanye, people are arguing about, like, whether Kanye was grifting with the Christianity thing the whole time.
Do you think he is?
Possibly. I
$20 super chat there from Sevi Rose.
What does this say? Only half listening, but I think you guys should reconsider the phrase hard R comedy. We didn't make the phrase.
Not our phrase.
Why has no one heard of this phrase before,
Yep.
though? It's confusing.
Nope, not our phrase.
I had never heard of it before, but this was like how people referred to these movies. But like, I do think his recent line, like his recent collection where it was just tape of like crosses coming out of models' asses, it's obviously blasphemous.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't understand that, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, but it's very obviously disrespectful to the Christian religion.
Yeah, I saw who is it? Mike was talking, like posted
Mike
some
Lerner,
stuff
like,
where he's talking about
posted about it.
He thinks that he's grifting off the Christianity.
Maybe with the gospel album, he was like moving in the right direction, but
it's like when they asked Trump his favorite Bible verse. He's like, all of them.
If you're like inviting Marilyn Manson to Sunday service, does your Sunday service actually mean anything? And is that a worship service? I don't think so.
What if Marilyn Manson wants to turn his life around?
Well, I don't think he does. I don't think he's a Christian. I don't know. It reeks of something fishy going on. I don't know why the Kanye stans always immediately pivot to thinking that Kanye is being controlled by somebody, though. What
was the guy's name? The personal trainer?
Harley Pasternak. I'm sure Harley Pasternak, like that whole situation, yes, that's like a reason to think that he was under someone's control or a management's control at one time. But now he's been dropped by all the big brands. He's working like on his own as an independent actor, and he is incredibly wealthy and powerful and has an entourage of people to do his bidding. I don't think that he's being controlled by anyone. I think he's just making some bad decisions on his own.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if he's I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'd like to give anybody who's moving towards a positive direction, I'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not sure if that's necessarily the case here. I don't know if that necessarily works, but
I liked that Kim admitted he was right about TikTok.
Yeah.
Allowing North on TikTok.
Well, like she said, mistake. That North posted something and she knew immediately she was going to have to take it down.
Kim just like, how is it that you justify her posting things publicly that are like creative? Like she's posting slime videos or like posting stuff of her art or whatever, when that could just be something she does like privately within her own home. Like why does it need to be broadcasted, and why is that the default, you know?
I mean, it's like, what was it you were talking about earlier? Men doing self-care. Like why do
you need to show?
Why do you need to show it, right?
Yeah.
Why do you need to show it? I have no idea. Why do they need to show it? Like why? But I mean, that's part of the culture now, right? It's like people feel if they're not sharing it with people, then how will anybody know? How will they know that I did it? If a man does a glow up in his own room after losing a bunch of weight, did it really happen? If he doesn't post a TikTok about all of the weight he lost,
it's like the Sigma grind set videos where you're like pumping iron after she dumped you.
I love those. Are my favorite. I love those. Like the gym, the gym talk is one of my favorite places.
Like if you were focusing on yourself, you wouldn't be talking about her.
Gym talk is one of my favorites because they're like, first of all, a lot of them have hilarious senses of humor, but I love those. The ones where it's like it's like the dude's like just enormous, and then it's that's like 3 girls worth of anger. I love it.
To each their own.
All right, let's talk about. Did you know that Vice got bailed out by George Soros to the tune of $225 million? Imagine having so much money you can buy your own propaganda arm.
George Soros just really wants to expose Andrew Tate's.
I love it.
scandalous
Yeah.
past.
Says Soros Fund Management and SoftBank-owned Fortress Investment Group, Vice's main creditors, beat out multiple bidders for the insolvent media company. How is there multiple bidders for Vice?
I don't understand it.
Insane. It says only Fortress's offer was deemed qualified after a bankruptcy judge said the New York-based investment group's plan for Vice was sustainable for the business. 3 people familiar with the purchase told the Times. Since the bid was offered and approved, a bankruptcy auction for the company that was originally scheduled for Thursday will be called off.
Is he gonna buy BuzzFeed News next?
I hope so. And just like, and then wait, no, is BuzzFeed owned by the same people that own the Mary Sue?
I'm not sure.
And I think like a lot of them are all owned by the same companies. So it's like they're all one big it's like one nation under investment capital.
BuzzFeed still exists, but BuzzFeed News is the one that went under.
Yeah, like I love it. It's just it's a bunch of people living like venture capitalist like cash infusion to venture capitalist cash infusion, and they can't really seem to find a way out of it. And it's interesting to see.
He's 92 years old.
He's gonna live forever.
Clock is ticking.
No, man.
Or is the adrenochrome
gonna
keep him going?
We had a long discussion because we were talking about it yesterday, because I was talking about Jim Caviezel gives these interviews where he's just talking about child trafficking because he's got this movie coming out, and then he launches into a tirade about adrenochrome, and you see the interviewer go,
okay, but like there is some there's something to it.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's the way he says he's like, it's got mystical properties. I'm like, maybe leave the word mystical out of it.
Yeah.
I'm just like the idea of...
What's the movie that he's doing press for right now?
Sound of Freedom.
Oh, he's in that?
Yeah, he's the lead actor in that. So we're
going to be reviewing that.
He's doing the press for it, and he's like, and they're taking kids, and child trafficking is it's like a $7 billion industry, or however many $1 billion industry. He's like, and then they got the adrenochrome, and they're harvesting it from the kids. I'm like, you were probably like, this interviewer was probably like, oh my gosh, really? And then you get to that part, and they're like, oh God, QAnon.
But why is that the part where you jump off ship?
Because it's the way he says it. He's like, and they're harvesting the adrenochrome from the kids. And it's like, it's even if real, it sounds too implausible for a person. You have to ease into that conversation. You don't get to just drop that one in there. You have to like warm up for that one.
Yeah, I guess red pill your friends, not the mainstream media.
Like, you can't just drop that conversation. Like imagine.
But they do that with like cooking animals sometimes. Like that's a thing where I forget which dish this is, but like you drown the bird in brandy before you cook it.
Yum.
So that it dies like in fear, and its distress is like said to enhance the flavor. It's illegal now, but like that is a thing.
Okay, here's the like what I'm talking about with Kavita is like, look, imagine you went to a bus stop, sit down, you've got your newspaper, this guy sitting next to you, got his newspaper, and you're like, wow, did you hear that there was a big bust, Operation Underground Railroad just cracked down on a bunch of human traffickers. All of them got caught. They just saved 57 kids. It's like a $10 billion industry. That's crazy. Wow, that's really great that they saved the kids. And they were harvesting their blood for adrenochrome to keep the elites alive forever. There has to be something in the middle there. You can't just go from that one to that one. It's just, it doesn't work. That's just
fair.
And that's, it's like, yes, we know adrenochrome is obviously real. Obviously, it's referenced in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It goes back farther than that. There has been limited experiments done on it. I was reading up on it the other night because I'm like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's turned into
You're like scrolling PDFs in your bedroom.
It's become a meme. Like, it's become a meme, but
which I don't like. It's sort of like the Epstein didn't kill himself meme. Like that shouldn't have become a meme, because if we're laughing at it, we don't believe it's true anymore.
And that's like, if anything, they encourage that because it turns it into
why was the Epstein didn't kill himself meme allowed to proliferate on social media? It's because it takes away the credibility of it.
There was an amazing one the other day. It was like a toilet paper ad where it's like strong enough to hold. It's like advertises itself as strong enough to hold up Epstein on his by his neck. Not good. So guys, just a heads up. If you're going to tell your kids or your friends or your loved ones and you're trying to red pill someone...
Don't tell your kids.
Well, yeah, not about any of this stuff. But if you're telling your friends and your loved ones about the multi-billion-dollar sex trafficking industry and how kids are being abused and all these things, and then you want to get into the adrenochrome, find something to slot in the middle there. You just can't stick that one in. You just can't.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. All right. Also, in feminist news today, did you know?
In pay gap
news, Vanna White has not had a raise in 18 years.
Well,
what the hell?
Yeah, like think about the inflation though. Like they should at least adjust her pay for inflation over 18 years.
This is crazy.
She's hired some aggressive lawyers that are going to be.
What does that mean? Like, does somebody have like aggressive lawyer in their business card?
We take sides.
It says we'll lie for you. Earlier this month, 76-year-old Pat Sajak announced that he's retiring, which is why she is now like, look, if I'm going to have to turn letters for some new guy, I better make more money, right? They're saying Ryan Seacrest might take his job.
Oh, really?
That was one of the ones that I saw.
Who's going to take Vanna White's job? I think it should be
his daughter,
Addison Rae.
His daughter did it for a couple of episodes.
Oh, is she?
Pat Sajak's daughter.
Is she pretty?
She's pretty.
Okay.
Yeah,
Vanna White's still got it though. I think as long as she's hot, you should be paying her well.
And guys, if you haven't seen if you haven't heard the song, there's a Weird Al song called "Stuck in a Closet" with Vanna White. It's very good. It's a product of the late '80s. Yeah, Brett Recommends Day is a song from Weird Al. It says it claimed that White currently makes $3 million a year. You know that $3 million
to complain about.
If she was making $3 million a year back in 18 years ago, though, that's pretty impressive. Think about what that was 18 years ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like $3 million ain't what it used to be.
Through multiple recessions.
She's you know what it is. There should be such a thing as like we need to celebrate the people who keep who keep us happy when we're unemployed or homesick from school, right? Like there should be extra pay for The Price is Right, Jeopardy, and I guess Wheel of Fortune was at night. Wheel of Fortune was at night.
There was something to it when Meghan Markle called out the sexism in game shows.
She's like, look, I was open. Well, yeah, but she was calling about. She's like, they didn't let me show how smart I was. I was smarter than that.
I wanted to talk about international relations on
as
Deal or No Deal.
As I'm opening a briefcase. Like, oh, by the way, how do you guys feel about the Gaza Strip?
We're going to get into that later. But
look, keep her on the show. Like she's
66 and she looks like that. It's crazy.
I also like the idea that like
she's on the adrenochrome too.
Do you think she has to wear like a wrist brace from all the letter turning over the years? Like, think she like
can't be easy.
Think she's ever thrown a shoulder out from the turning? Or no, it's like I think it's a button you push now. I don't think you actually physically turn.
That sucks.
I know. I think it's a button now. Maybe I'm wrong. Are there any Wheel of Fortune members here? Anybody here who watches Wheel of Fortune? Do you hit a button to change the letter, or do you turn the thing? It was cooler when you turn the actual letter.
Pat Sajak was making 5 times as much as her.
So it's patriarchy.
Damn.
To be fair, this is actually a fair argument because I think that they're kind of a tandem duo, right? As important as he was, it was never just Pat Sajak. It was always about Pat Sajak and Vanna White. They were a team.
So no one can really replace him.
No. I see what it is. That's what they said about The Price is Right with Bob Barker, and he was replaced. Guy with the little microphone. Like who replaced him? Drew Carey. I think Drew Carey replaced him.
Okay.
So guys, who replaced Bob Barker? Was it Drew Carey, or am I imagining that?
I'm not sure.
Somebody in the chat can let me know. Look, pay her more money. I think she deserves more. She's keeping
Brett the feminist.
Plus, we've been seeing all these hilarious videos where they hate him.
Why?
There's always videos like Pat Sajak touched a contestant inappropriately because he gives a guy a hug or something. They're like, he invaded their personal. They're always calling out Pat Sajak. She never gets called out, so it's a vendetta. They got a vendetta against him. Yeah, they're right. They said it was Drew Carey.
Okay.
So, you know what, Vanna? I'm on your side. We need to close the wage gap here. I'm pro-feminist in this instance. We gotta get you your money. All right. Also, guys, I want to give you an update on ISOM number 2, as I've been doing on a regular basis. It is past 1.5 million. It's $1,566,000. They've donated over 1,000 comics to charity, which is really awesome. So it's just a heads up, guys. I think that's very, very cool to see how well that is doing. Mary, would you like to see cute or cringe first?
Cute, then cringe.
Man, you're a glutton for punishment. I always do the cute second to
We're mixing it up.
All right.
I'm back.
First things first. From Andrea Mew. I wonder if she's in the chat right now.
Oh, she submitted one.
Yes. She sent this to me. I was like, it doesn't say hashtag PCC Pets. Doesn't say.
We'll make an exception.
Yeah, I said I'd make an exception because she sent it as a message. It says, brief timeline cleanse. Please enjoy a little of Millie in a warp pipe. Millie is adorable.
Is this a chinchilla?
Yes. I mean, I believe so.
That's cute. I've heard that chinchillas are super hard to take care of because they're so, like, attached. Mm. Like, you can't go anywhere without it. But they're really cute.
It's a very, very adorable looking pet there. And then we've got one more from Andrew Jacobs. Says, thank you so much for allowing us to submit pics of our deceased pets as well. Aww. Here are Max and Oliver, who were euthanized last year due to kidney failure and old age. Oliver was almost 20, respectfully. That is an adorable photo.
Almost 20?
Almost 20.
That's crazy. Oh, rest in peace. They're sweet.
They're very sweet. All right. Now that we've gotten the cute out of the way, I guess it's time to do the cringe.
Yeah, that's a little bit sad, but...
That's sad. Okay, here we go. First things first, Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber can't stop grabbing his crotch after leaving a restaurant, holds on for dear life.
You know what it is? It's the return of baggy jeans.
Is it? Baggy jeans have made a comeback.
I hate it.
You do?
Well, because I grew
I do too. I think skinny jeans are a better look.
There's hilarious photos of me when I was like a teenager in like sweatpants that are 3XL, and I basically just look like a gigantic cotton ball.
And you showed me a picture of you wearing Jenko jeans too.
Yes, I had Jinkos. I wore all the ugly clothes. And I'll tell you what, it's one thing to wear really, really baggy jeans. It's another thing to wear really, really baggy jeans when you're 5'5", because like anything that is not skin tight looks huge when you're short. Exactly. So it's like I just look like a mass of fabric walking down the street. Not to mention, I look back out there and I'm like looking at old skating clips, and I'm like dying of heat exhaustion because there's so much fabric on you that you weigh 30 pounds more than you already do.
Yeah, I still don't own any jeans for this reason.
That is crazy.
It's too complicated.
That is crazy.
But I just found this funny.
Maybe he spilled on himself and he's covering up.
It looks like he peed.
Who's the actor who always comes out of restaurants and pees himself?
What?
Maybe somebody in the chat knows this.
Is this an elderly person?
No. It was. I mean, he's kind of older, but like, who's the actor who just? He would just pee down his leg.
Still?
And I don't know if it's still happening, but it's like it was like somebody we covered it once. It might have not been when you were here, but it's like, here's all these photos of so-and-so with pee on his leg. And he just it was like multiple photos where it looks like he just decided like one day he's like, gotta go, sucks to be me, and then just pees down his leg.
Damn.
Yeah.
And if someone looks at him wrong, he's like, do you know who I am?
Dude, okay.
Justin Bieber probably just spilled something on himself and is like thinking, if I just grab it, it won't draw as much attention. Here's
the thing. You should, no matter how famous you get, Mary, you're gonna have to remember this one day when you're big and more famous, okay. Right? You aspire to never ever use the phrase, do you know who I am?
I'll just say, do you know who my father is? And they'll be like, no. But like Bieber was the original like guy who thought it was like really sexy to like grab the crotch of your pants and also like make this weird constipated face at the camera that was like biting your lip and like furrowing your brow like this.
I think I've got the answer here. Hold on.
He really like pioneered that look.
Justin did?
Yeah.
Hey man, he's a cultural icon.
We're gonna have to ask Mike Lerner about that.
We should have asked him more questions. Yeah, it was Liam Neeson. That's who it was.
Oh.
It was Liam Neeson. There's literally a Reddit thread that says, why does Liam Neeson pee his pants so much?
Dude, just put on the Depends. No one will notice. We won't judge you.
I'm not judging him.
What the heck? Why? And he's just acting like it's not there.
It's fine.
Maybe it was a PR stunt.
Maybe it was after his thing where he got in trouble for saying like he was gonna follow people around his neighborhood.
Yeah.
He's like, I gotta get some good press.
He said that?
Do you remember that?
Liam Neeson, Neighborhood Watch.
Well, okay, so his sister or sister-in-law or something was R-worded, and he found like she reported it, and he he's apparently so clueless as to what's going on in the world, where he's like, I remembered because then she reported that it was a black person who had R-worded her, and he's like, I went around my neighborhood for 2 weeks
I think I
looking
remember this, yeah.
for people to beat up, and I'm like, and everybody and their mother's like, did he really just say that in public in the year 2018?
He's about to go full George Zimmerman mode.
Yeah, like it was crazy. It was like, that was a crazy time to be alive, and then nothing really happened. He's like, he did that episode of Atlanta that addressed it, and it just disappeared. It's
sort of just start peeing yourself, and people will not pay attention anymore.
He's doing it while holding the arm of another person. He's physically touching another person covered in piss.
I'm so confused.
Like, did that person just accept it, or did they not know? In fact, I need to know. Did he say, hey, I've got peed on my leg, but I still want to take this photo with you? Or did he not let her know until afterward? Did he say, oh, sorry, by the way?
Maybe it's just such a common occurrence for him that he doesn't realize.
Like, in fact, she actually kind of looks like she's trying to inch away from the piss. Like, she's like her hand is dangerously close to pee right there, and she doesn't want anything to do with it. Like, frankly, I find that to be a little bit rude.
There are people who would pay a lot to touch Liam Neeson's piss.
She's like, she's like sold the, like that, and she looks like she's wearing scrubs, so it's like, it looks like maybe she sold, maybe that was the catheter nurse.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's what it was. And she sold those scrubs on eBay for a certain amount of money. We had a $20 super chat here from Corey Anderson.
He said, I saw a sign from NYC's Pride Parade from this last weekend that said, maybe Jesus was gay, and saying, men. This is state-sponsored discrimination, and Christians should stop tithing until the churches fight back.
Do you think the churches ever fight back?
I mean,
it feels like
churches are operating more like private companies now that have to think about PR. So no, they're not going to. I wouldn't call it discrimination, because I mean that's just somebody broadcasting their degeneracy on the street. But like,
not discriminate, but I guess it is a form of bigotry.
It's sure it is.
Or
but that in this country we're supposedly allowed to be bigoted against whoever we want.
Yeah, like right now I'm making fun of Liam Neeson for peeing his pants all the time. I was like. He's like, I have a very. He's like, I have a very special.
He has no recourse.
He's like, I have a very particular set of skills, none of which is finding a bathroom in time.
We have another cringe though. We're not done.
All right, guys, here we go.
This one was really bad.
Here we go. All right, let's start this from the beginning. Volume's up. All right, here we go.
Sharing with strangers.
Do you mind holding this for 1 second?
Yeah, you look nice too. I'm gonna tell
Thank you so much. You're an angel.
Yeah.
Unlike my wife. Well, ex-wife, I should say. Yep.
He's just zipping and unzipping his fanny pack the whole time.
Down the drain.
It is what it is. Time to move on.
Well, that didn't stop her from jumping into bed with the first CrossFit trainer who came her way.
Oh, okay.
Guess I can't blame her though. What kind of woman would want a 32-year-old meme admin with $28,000 in crypto debt and clinical ED?
Sounds like a lot going on. I gotta go, babe.
I'm sorry, I'm sure you have better things to do than to be listening to my problems.
No. I hear you.
I guess it all started with my relationship with my father. He was a spiteful man.
I gotta go.
Look, okay, as somebody who used to manage a gas station, I've had actual experiences like that.
But you can't leave.
I cannot leave. I just have to sit there and be like, yeah.
You became like a therapist.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. Like, look, if somebody comes there with a stack of lottery tickets to turn in, you are fucked. Like, you are gonna be there.
You already know they've got some issues.
No, just like because they're gonna occupy your time, right? So they come to the window, and then you do the lottery tickets off to the side, right? So I'm ringing stuff up. They'll talk to you, and then they'll literally be talking to you while you're helping that person as the conversation continues as customers go by. But then the second all the customers are gone, then they've got all your attention, and you can't get away. Like, I learned to be okay with it. It was that was fine. Like, and a lot of it was like we had a lot of older people that came in, right? They were just old and they didn't have anybody to talk to. I never had a problem. I always enjoyed
talking
that.
to like my Uber drivers. I don't initiate conversations with Uber drivers because I know that a lot of them probably wouldn't want to talk.
Yeah.
But if someone wants to talk, like I never, ignore them.
Yeah, it's plus it's rude.
But if this guy were oversharing to me, I would be like, no, tell me more.
Yes!
Thank you.
Woo!
It's like you knew that one was coming.
I did. Boom.
$28,000 in crypto debt and clinical erectile dysfunction, though.
I mean, that one almost makes it too much of a meme. If he'd been like, diagnosed manic depressive. Like,
Yeah, then I would be like, oh, I believe it.
all right.
He's just like aimlessly zipping and unzipping.
Zipping and unzipping his
fanny pack the entire time.
Also, what is the difference between a fanny pack and a what's the one that they wear now? It's not a fanny pack.
It's still a fanny pack. They're just not wearing it correctly.
But they don't call it I thought they gave it another name. Does it have another name? Unless it's just a
what
merce.
all of the hype beasts are wearing now.
I see it and I'm just like, man, what do they keep in there? What do you think they keep in there?
It's kind of the perfect thing. It's not too big. You're not like lugging around a backpack, but also it's not a wallet. It's kind of the perfect thing to take around. But I'll never have one because I don't think it looks good.
It's a weird looking thing. I mean, it works for some people. I wouldn't wear one. All right, let us get started then, shall we? Let's talk about Ice Cube because this story is a little bit hard to decipher. He goes on this video and he calls out what he calls the gatekeepers in Hollywood and mainstream media and says he's going to go on a worldwide F the Gatekeepers podcast tour, which I'm excited about. I sent this to Tim immediately. I'm like, dude, you got to get him.
I also just saw a
tweet
tweet from Lisa Elizabeth that says, at Ice Cube, we would love to have you on Timcast's The Culture War.
Yep.
We could be meeting Ice Cube soon.
That would be very cool. Let's watch the video, shall we? Let's watch the video here. Oh, and this article here on timcast.com from Chris Burton.
Thanks, Bertman.
Yeah. Let's see. I have it right here. Let's watch the actual one. So here we go.
You know what it is?
What is it?
Homeboy Ice Cube.
I actually never know what it is. When somebody says, you know what it is.
Yeah, I'm like, well, what is it?
Well, what is it?
Yeah.
And some of you may not have realized that I'm not part of the club. And a lot of you listening to me right here, right now, you're not part of the club either.
He's right.
It's a big club and we're not in it.
What I realize with the club is what makes them so mad is when you don't want to be a part of their fucking club. That pisses them off. What club am I talking about? I'm talking about the club of gatekeepers that we all got to deal with. You know who they are, and they definitely...
No, I don't, because no one will tell me.
A lot of people would be like,
Who is they,
Who
though?
is it?
Come on, man, stop playing. So, ever since I put out the contract with Black America, you know they've been fucking with me. Here and there, this and that. But it's cool, you know.
He says that a lot. He goes, it's cool.
I expect that. You know, I've been working with, on the big three for a long time, and you know how they've been fucking with me.
Do we?
That. I done made it, plain, simple, and clear what they've been doing. The NBA been fucking with us. Now, a lot of people might say, like, well, but Cube, you want to work with the NBA. Really, I don't give a fuck about working with the NBA. What I want them to do, when I say work with us, is to stop working against us. Stop doing that bullshit behind the scenes that we know you're doing. Mainstream media, they ain't fucking with us. And that's cool. We can do it ourselves, you know what I'm saying? We still on the rise without these motherfuckers. So we don't need them, you don't need them. So what am I gonna do to deal with these motherfucking gatekeepers? Well, what I'm gonna do is go on a Fuck the Gatekeepers podcast tour. And I'm gonna go talk to everybody, and get a chance to get my message out to the people. Be able to let people hear from me, and you might agree, you might not, but the important thing is, for me to go on these platforms, say what I feel about what I think. And, some people may get pissed off.
That will happen too.
Because I'm going to talk to everybody. I'm not playing. And it's gonna be a crazy summer. It's gonna be fun. Appreciate y'all.
So I really do think I don't know if he's aware of the shitstorm that will end up coming with if you talk to certain people.
Well, I think he just wants to get on Joe Rogan, which he could do anyway.
I think he's going to go to
without
anyone.
posting a video like this. But I didn't totally understand what he meant by the NBA.
Because Big Three is a basketball league,
right?
Yeah.
Going behind their backs and doing something to sabotage Big Three. And then he mentioned his contract with Black America, which I guess is his manifesto
with Trump.
of his it's literally a manifesto for racial equality.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now.
And he met with Trump. Okay, so what happened was he met with Trump before the election, and so he outlined all the stuff that he wanted to do. This is when they had the platinum plan and everything, right? And then basically the Biden administration at the time, the Biden campaign said, "We'll talk to you after the election," because they didn't know if they were going to win.
Right.
And so he got in trouble for even talking to Trump about it.
It presents a blueprint to achieve racial economic justice.
Whatever that means.
Back in 2020, I think a lot of people were talking about this, but I don't know if he's gonna start talking about the big club in Hollywood, or if he's talking about politics, or
I think it's a little of both. I think it's a little of both because he seems to dabble in all of it, right? Like I said, he met with Trump, but he's not an inherently political guy. I want to ask him if he can get the rights to Friday back. That's what I really want. I want him to get the rights to the movie Friday back, or even if he could make another sequel, because he made Next Friday. There's a couple of sequels, but he's it is weird that you can be an outcast and be a guy who's as famous as he is, who's been a part of legendary, iconic rap groups and worked in Hollywood for 25 to 30 years.
Yeah, Ice Cube's son is don't ruin my reputation. You're embarrassing me.
But there's right. Look, the Democrats blew him off. They said, no, well, we're not going to talk to you before the election. We're not making any promises.
But then after the election, that was obviously
I don't know if anything ever came of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when Trump won and he went and he reached out to the Black Caucus and they said no. They just wouldn't talk to him.
Look, the issue is that he's just coming up with another plan for reparations.
I mean,
it's just reparations dressed up in a pretty way.
I don't know if that's what he's talking about. I mean, if he's talking about what is it called? Opportunity zones, right? In all the impact zones and stuff like that.
Well, I'm looking at the manifesto right now, and it says a bill to guarantee Black opportunity and representation, adopt a plan of neo-reconstruction, bank lending reform, federal funding of baby bonds, Federal Reserve and government pensions.
It's also it's very cryptic.
Prison reform.
He doesn't
reform.
He doesn't actually address what he thinks the NBA did in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I guess that's what he's planning on doing when he goes on all these podcasts. I am excited if he does come here.
We can meet Ice Cube. It'd be freaking awesome. Also,
Can we have him on the show?
If we could get him, that'd be hilarious. I could just talk to him about. I'd be able to ask him about West Side Connection and working with all the rappers back in the day.
I don't really want to talk about politics with him. I just want to talk about.
I want to talk about rap music with him. That's what I want to talk to him about. I want to be like, hey, dude. So when you were writing "Bow Down" with West Side Connection, can you tell me about that process?
Yeah.
I'm down for that. So does it feel?
Forget White Boy Summer. This is Ice Cube. Summer.
I'm so down. Now if we could get both.
Chet Hanks would definitely
holy shit
be behind this.
Look, and there's something kind of annoying when people make the obscenely vague stuff like this, because it's
well, then if you're Kanye, you go from vague to way too explicit.
Yeah. Oh, we got a $20 one here. Did I miss that one?
Let me see. Braymont.
Yeah.
He said, instead of saying, "Do you know who I am?" why wouldn't you go with something as ridiculous as, "Do you know who my uncle's father's daughter's daughter is?" I mean, you're famous. It would confuse and annoy everyone.
That's awesome. There you go. Look, I would love to see Ice Cube go and do this. I also I think there's something to be said for more examples of people who break from the mainstream narrative and go out on their own to promote stuff that don't just lose their entire place in Hollywood. Like, so, isn't it weird how
Yeah.
some people are allowed to speak out and some people aren't? Like, there are celebrities who are allowed to be more vocal than others, it seems like.
Would you say Kanye is an example of someone who just got completely
He's
blacklisted?
he's the opposite of that. He's the example of someone who didn't seem to be able to speak out, but it seems like certain people are allowed
I mean, they're
to
still selling
Yeah.
Yeezy.
Yeah.
You know, like after all this time. I think it's just like if you still have support from people and you still make them money, they don't really care what your ideological positions
Which
are.
is funny too, because like I feel like that is a more American approach. If you were just honest and like, yeah, I don't care what your opinions are as long as you made us money. Like, I have more respect for that than somebody who tries to play both sides of the coin.
It's usually like that behind the scenes, but then
I want that to be in front of the scenes.
yeah.
Like, I have more respect for a person who's like, yeah, I don't know what his views are and whatever they are. I don't really care as long as they make us money. Like, that's your job as a business. Your job isn't to, my job isn't to like everything you say. My job is to work with you to create an effective product that will make money. Like, it just doesn't make sense, especially in a world now where we're constantly being asked for our opinions and giving them unsolicited. Like, it used to be like you only had so many chances in your life to screw everything up because you gave how many interviews a year. It's not like you were out there like posting your thoughts on the day to some billboard in the town square. Now you have a million chances every day to screw up everything you've ever worked for by saying the wrong thing.
Yeah. On the front end, it's punitive. It's disavowals, and punishments, and cancellation. But I think like on the back end, if you're popular and you make money, that's all that they care about in
And
Hollywood.
why should they care about more?
That's the story of Me Too as well. Like they didn't actually care about rooting out predators.
No,
from
but
the
they got to go on
industry.
vacation to Hawaii to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
That was what really mattered.
Yeah. I mean, even with COVID too, with like enforcing COVID restrictions, it was all about the PR appearance of doing so, not actually about, you know, saving lives. They were still on production sets. They were still making movies.
My favorite now is like there's this great video of a guy. He's dying in his hospital bed. And he goes like he looks around and he like the white light appears, but just as the white light appears out the window, he looks out the window and his nurse is at a dance off down on the ground floor of the hospital. It's like, what are you supposed to do?
I'm looking at the quote tweets right now.
What are they saying?
Stop supporting the NBA and support the big three. Ice Cube has always been on code. Why is he against the NBA? Do you know about that?
Okay, so he in the article here, they reference, it says, during the video posted on Twitter, Ice Cube also said that he would continue to voice his displeasure over the course of the summer on a podcast tour while continuing to promote the Big Three. Ice Cube specifically targeted NBA Commissioner Adam Silver for being an alleged roadblock. Really, I think it comes down to Adam Silver, he said. I don't think he really digs what we're doing here personally. I mean, anybody's going to consider competition to be a problem, right?
They're telling him to talk to Nick Fuentes.
Let's not do that.
Then the gatekeepers will really be mad.
You showed them by having a conversation. But
Go on, Alex Jones.
Okay, I would pay money to see that.
That would be funny.
Like him talking to Alex Jones would be the greatest thing ever.
Andrew Tate replied and just said, "My G."
I saw that. We need to get him with Andrew Tate.
Yeah, he's gonna talk to the Cobra Tate. Another one said, "The tide has turned. You will see more people speaking out. We are winning. We are no longer the conspiracy theorists. We are the conspiracy realists. They've been hiding what they've been doing in the shadows, but dark is now turning to light. A great awakening." I don't know if this is the W that some people are calling it.
That's like I'm
or
literally
if Ice
waiting
Cube
for
is
this.
just trying to promote himself and his projects.
Like, I mean, everything you just read there, I expected like a QAnon logo to just show up at the end.
Another one said, "Let's hope more good people among our friends in the Black community like Ice Cube continue to step up for American people against what should be more obvious than ever." I don't know. Like, everyone just wants this video to mean
more than it might.
Like support for my agenda.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
Ice
like,
Cube
it's like
has his own agenda.
everyone is kind of like.
Oh, he's on my team now.
Yeah.
Like it's like very desperate. It's like the way that conservatives also reacted to Nicki Minaj talking about the vaccine. Like, oh, you're on our team now. Like you're our person now. And it's like
there's nobody more desperate than a conservative looking for the validation.
Desperation is
of a
not
celebrity.
attractive, and no one wants to be on your team if you are begging for them to join you.
Every time they're like, look at this celebrity. I like the cut of their jib. They're on our side. He's on our team.
When on every other issue, they're completely against you, which is fine.
It's fine. Just acknowledge that doesn't mean they suddenly switch teams because you're running the problem of having a binary situation where you consider it to be a team sport when people are actually just an amalgamation of different ideas and nothing is ever that black and white or that cut and dry. It's actually annoying, and I think it ends up why people end up losing in a lot of these situations because they're looking for allies in a thing where this person isn't looking for allies. They're just sharing their view on something.
Right.
And you're like, you come off a little nuts when you go to them. You're like, oh, wow, look at them. They finally agree with us. It's like, yes, they agree with you on this one thing. Welcome to humanity where people are allowed to have different views and ideas. And that's fine. I have plenty of friends who I disagree with on tons of stuff. But stop acting like these celebrities are suddenly worshiping false idols.
Ricky Gervais and Dave Chappelle super hard too, who are two like dyed in the blue liberals, and they always will be.
You especially probably don't like Gervais because he's very anti-religion.
Well, yeah, that's always been his shtick. And like Dave Chappelle making jokes about abortion that certainly wouldn't, land well with a conservative audience because he's not conservative.
Yeah.
Alex Jones did quote this video, and he said, Ice Cube, come to Austin, Texas, and come on the most banned network in the world, InfoWars. Our audience will welcome you and your message with open arms.
Whatever that message is, like, sir.
Whatever that message is.
Like, I don't know how much of a crossover there is. Like if we were to look at the demographics, the interest demographics of the Alex Jones audience and the Ice Cube audience. Like, I don't know if there are a lot of, West Coast rap listening, basketball watching members of the Alex Jones audience, but I could be wrong.
Whereas I would say, like, at least the Kanye fan base probably does overlap more than you would expect with the InfoWars people at this point. Yeah. Jason Whitlock also quote tweeted and said, interesting use of terms, the club and the gatekeepers. Will it keep him out of trouble with folks who shut down Kanye and Kyrie and can't stand Dave Chappelle?
I forgot about Kyrie.
What did Kyrie say?
His was about vaccines as well.
Oh,
I believe it's about lockdowns and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and,
like I don't think Ice Cube is
aspect
about to talk about like voter fraud and vaccines.
It would be hilarious if it was. If he dude, he comes out and he's just wearing a QAnon shirt.
I don't know. I just don't like the way that the conservative movement just reeks of desperation all the time. It's cringy.
I pointed this out on IRL and I got some pushback where I was like, the 81 million vote song is cringy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's cringy.
Yeah.
They're like,
is this creating culture?
They're like, it hit number one. I'm like, I don't care.
It's creating cringe culture.
It's like Sam Smith hit number one too. He's cringy too. You can be cringy is not unique to one side or the other. Both sides can be cringy, but it was just really funny because it's like I listened to the song and it's like my can't afford gas. I'm like, oh my god.
There's a right way to go against the grain and like be countercultural, and I don't think that's it.
As our viewership just drops, like everyone hates us now.
Is everyone gonna be mad at us for saying that?
For mad at not liking that song.
I'm sorry, 81 million votes my ass was not a good song. I'll say it. And I'm not afraid to say it.
And I'm not, it's just like, I'm sick of pretending like it wasn't.
The gatekeepers.
I'm not. Yes, I'm here to gatekeep good music.
Yeah.
So, look.
Another one said, when you have conservatives under your post applauding you, you did it wrong. Congratulations, Ice. And you keep playing yourself, brother.
And that dude's a loser too. Who doesn't get it, that it shouldn't be a team sport. But I think you're right. I think a lot of people are attaching their own agendas to this. It's a weird type of like, I don't even know what the term for it would be, but it's weird.
It's just team sports, and people like desperate to have someone be on their team. It's like the way that even Jordan Peterson like gets harassed constantly about like what denomination of Christianity are you? Like you have to like be on my side when it's just an individual who's like working out his own crap in the public eye.
You've lived this just faithless life, and The world's falling apart. No, just go with me on this. You've lived this faithless life. The world's falling apart. And you finally find something that helps you feel less empty. And then immediately somebody comes in and says, but that's the wrong type of not feeling empty.
Yeah.
You need to use my type of not feeling empty. Like that would actually probably kill my desire to go farther into a journey of faith, right? It's like, you're like, oh my gosh, I feel better than I felt in years. Like I don't feel so alone anymore. Things are starting to make sense again. And then some dude just walks up to you, he's like, no, you're doing it wrong. Like, sorry. Like, it's not going to work.
Everyone is either talking about sports or politics or
Those
Hollywood
are an
and adrenochrome.
Those are an offshoot. In fact, a lot of one of my problems with a lot of politics now, not that we're going to get into that heavily, is that they treat it like it's just a sublimated version of team sports for a lot of people, right? Like we didn't have team sports going on during COVID, but people could certainly argue about which political party they wanted to win, and people treat it the same, and they are not the same, and they shouldn't be treated the same, and people need to get out of that mindset of trying to treat everything as if it's some type of game to be won with a bunch of other people. You should be looking for far more than that.
Nuance Bro quote tweeted and said, if you want to know who he's talking about, you just got to look up his old tweets on the matter and posts about the black cube. I've never seen those old posts, but please send me the screenshots. And then someone replied, people understand this is a basketball thing, right?
Yeah. It's I mean, I believe that it is, but it's all like people are making more out of it than that because of the term gatekeeper.
He's going to expose the cabal.
He also used the term mainstream media, which is notoriously a word that fits within that jargon.
Yeah, I would say just don't get your hopes up. But I am super interested.
It's way cooler if he comes out, he's got an Alex Jones shirt on, and he's like, he shows us like his collection of frogs that have gotten turned gay. Like, I'm here for it. He's like he talks about like his first trip to Bohemian Grove.
He could be talking about the Scientologists.
Could be. I saw an amazing. It's so funny how the Top Gun memes are still happening. But it's like this. It's two guys. It's like just got out of Top Gun Maverick. It's the song Danger Zone's playing. And they high five each other. And they turn and they start walking. And it's the Scientology headquarters they're walking into. All right, let's go. We got some super chats there.
Logan Culver said, "Not so fast, Mary. Dick Levine says we're having Pride Summer."
Look, you don't get like that's just rude.
I was excitedly counting down to the end of June.
You don't get the whole summer. That's just rude.
Yeah,
you're just
veterans get one day.
I also saw something that said like I guess June is also Men's Mental Health Awareness Month or something.
Is?
Yeah,
oh, I had no idea.
Bad marketing there. I also saw a comedy skit the other day. They said Father's Day is like the 18th most popular holiday. Like Columbus Day is more popular than.
Where's Mother's Day on the list?
Like number 3.
Damn.
Yeah.
Says a lot about our society.
We live in a society, Mary.
Vanguard and 7 said, "Good afternoon, guys. I'm sorry this is my first time viewing your content in almost a month. Being a first-time parent is a lot harder than I thought. Raising a future. Keep up the good work." You keep up the good work as well, sir.
That is awesome.
Don't you worry about it.
And congratulations.
Just like tune into the show and put it on mute. Or just like put your kid in front of the screen and we'll indoctrinate for you.
That kid will love Ice Cube and hate Joe Biden in no time.
Love Tom Cruise.
And love Tom Cruise.
James Orenthal-Wen said, "Ice Tracy once snubbed me, so O'Shea Jackson for the MF win."
Okay. By the way, I have the poll up. Should we just end the poll? I just end the poll. So I asked everybody, who's your favorite Ice? Right now, it looks like the winner will in fact be Ice Cube.
Damn. I thought Ice Spice was gonna win.
No, you did not. I thought Vanilla Ice was gonna win.
I just vote for the underdog option, whatever it is.
I thought Vanilla Ice was gonna win. He didn't even come close, or he came in second. He didn't come the whole way up though. Thought he was gonna win. Okay, let's do one more and then we'll move on.
Deuce Boogaloo said Ice-T is the best Ice because he was on SVU, and like John Mulaney pointed out, Ice says things like, "Looks like the victim had anal contusions."
It's the famous clip where the guy's like, "I have relationships with women and sex with men," and he goes, "That means you're gay." We love that show. Actually, I was always a bigger fan of regular Law and Order and Criminal Intent. I didn't really watch a lot of SVU. But
Okay.
yeah, I love Criminal Intent with Vincent D'Onofrio.
I just heard a ringtone that was the SVU theme the other day.
I was watching TikToks where they make dance videos out of and it's like, so like you ever see the dance videos where like they're dancing behind a TV and it's like they're dancing to the same song as like the music video, so they're copying the dance. It was like a house remix of the SVU theme. And then they're like dancing to it. I'm like, this show's about like sexual assault, right? Like, I don't know if this is actually.
Have some respect.
I don't know if this is actually that funny, but it's funny. Like it's more funny in the fact that like because they're not trying to make it weird. They're not trying to make it vulgar, but it just shows how desensitized we are as a world now, where people are like, look at this show about people getting R-worded, and they're like dancing in front of the camera. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, let's move on. Why don't you tell us, Mary? Tell us all about what's going on with Maddie Healy, Taylor Swift, and...
Right, we're going to start with Taylor Swift. Yeah. So she has just called off the pack. She has told the Swifties officially, it's time to stop harassing my ex-boyfriends from 12 years ago, please.
Now she says it.
So they started harassing John Mayer recently because she added Dear John back onto her re-recorded version of her album. And she dated John Mayer when she was 19 and he was like 30. That on its own is like a whole other can of worms debate. But it basically turned into like, let's start a harassment campaign against every man who has crossed Taylor Swift, our idol. And I'm sorry, but if all of your exes are psychopaths and narcissists, I think that it might be a you problem.
You are the problem. You are officially the problem. Like, look,
they might legitimately be crazy,
no,
but if you're attracting that, or if you just assume that all of your exes were the problem, you might be the problem.
It's society has gotten to a point where when I hear a woman say, "And my ex was a toxic narcissist," I'm like, "So you like what he asked you?"
It's like even if he was at this point, I'm not listening anymore.
I'm not listening. I hear it's the term narcissist though. I hear anyone call someone else a toxic narcissist or a narcissist. I'm just like, you're likely just as bad. And it was probably a mutually awful relationship.
Yeah, so let's just watch the video. She did this at one of her concerts.
Okay.
Where she called them off.
33 years old. I don't care about anything that happened to me when I was 19 except the songs I wrote and the memories we made together. So what I'm trying to tell you is that I'm not putting this album out so that you can go and should feel the need to defend me on the internet against someone you think I might have written a song about.
They're like kind of upset. They're like, boo!
You think I might have written a song about 14 million years ago. I mean, in the past, she has said it's presumptuous to assume that Dear John was about John Mayer.
Hi, guy named John that I dated.
Yeah. His name is kind of in the title, so that makes it awkward.
Yeah.
But Jake Gyllenhaal actually has been another victim of the Swiftie hate campaigns. And just recently, this was like in an interview last year, he kind of called them out and said, at some point, I think it's important when supporters get unruly that we feel a responsibility to have them be civil and not allow for cyberbullying in one's name. Obviously Taylor Swift was not mentioned here. He said it has nothing to do with me. It's about her relationship with her fans.
I disagree
with him.
It is
her expression. Artists tap into personal experiences for inspiration, and I don't begrudge anyone that.
I disagree with him on this. Like, you are not, unless she actually said go forth and harass Jake Gyllenhaal, and she's not responsible for that.
It's not her responsibility to police her fans' behavior when it's literally millions of people, but also
Phil was the one who pointed this out to me, where I was like, I feel like she eggs this stuff on. He's like, how? And I'm like, I couldn't really come up with that. Like, my instinct is to say that she's built a fan base that feels that strongly about it, but all that proves is that she's really good at her job. She's really good at making music that people connect with.
Her music makes people feel strongly about something. Like, it's her doing her job, right?
Exactly. So I've actually changed my position on this. Like, I used to feel like she wanted it, but it's like she should want it. It's her job, but she can't control outside of actually telling people to do something illegal.
Yeah. Taylor Swift has never Me Too'd anyone. Like, that's a big deal. But like,
I mean,
in the
that'll
eyes
that,
of her fans,
she better become a billionaire quick, or that's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, in the eyes of her fans, all of her exes are irredeemable monsters because she can do no wrong.
And that part is a little bit annoying because there's a lack of self-reflection there.
Exactly.
But it's also not her. She's
Which
not
also,
legally
like,
obligated to self-reflect.
Knowing that about her, it makes her songs resonate with me less, that it requires no self-reflection or like thinking about where you could be in the wrong. I mean, she made one song about Taylor Lautner where she admitted fault. That was it.
Yeah.
And I just think if you're 33 and every relationship you've been in has failed and you think that it was everyone else's fault, look at the common denominator.
I mean, also,
it's you.
Part of it is like when you get to that level of fame, like she's not going to date a nobody. She like famous guy.
Even when she was 19, she's not going to date a nobody. She was dating men who are more wealthy and more powerful and more influential than her.
Well, she's about to be a billionaire, so she's not going to be able to do that for much longer.
Yeah.
Elon Musk, that's it. That's her
Elon
only
needs to
choice.
come and save the day.
Her only choice is Elon. Like, I actually kind of like it because it's like it's going to be one of those things where it'll be so weird that she's gonna find out she's really into it. she's gonna do it as like a favor to somebody, like where she's like, oh fine, I'll go to dinner with him, and she's gonna be all for it. He's gonna be like, he's not gonna make eye contact. He's gonna talk about weird shit, and she's gonna be like, this is awesome.
Gosh, now there are some ugly responses from her fans. One said, John Mayer groomed you as a teenager when he was 32.
He groomed the
He has
adult.
sexually harassed multiple women, and it's extremely racist. So he deserves everything coming his way.
I love, dude, the ability. He's
also racist.
The ability for like creepy internet parasocial stands to justify everything with buzzwords is insane, dude. They're mentally ill. They're mentally ill.
Another person said, unfortunately, we don't give a fuck, and he's going to hell, my princess. They don't even care what she's saying.
She attracts a certain type of mentally ill person.
I hate stan culture.
She attracts a certain type of mentally ill person that just uses her music as an excuse.
Ugh. Another one said, Jake Gyllenhaal was mature enough to know and understand everything, but John Mayer is unstable AF. This is the right move by her because he reacts in any way. At least media won't frame her for making her fandom bully her exes. I don't know. Everyone makes songs about breakups, so she has been kind of unfairly pigeonholed in that way. Like,
about what? About
that all of her songs are
she does that about
songs.
she does that to herself.
Everyone does that now.
But she does that. I mean, who else? Like, I don't.
Every pop star.
I feel
has
like
breakup
most music
songs
outside
and self-love songs.
It's all self-love songs or it's club songs. Like, I don't.
Boss babes stuff where it's like, get your bag, queen. You don't need him.
I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was talking to someone recently. I was like, you know what I miss about R&B is like it was actually optimistic.
Heartfelt.
It was actually optimistic about the human condition.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it came at a time when you talked about romance in a way that seemed like there was actually a future for it, and you wanted it to work out. Now all of it deconstructs the human experience and romantic experience in a way that's just depressing.
We got one from Carbon Heart. It's on us to call out the demonic rituals being done in popular media. It's influencing everyday life and it needs to be pushed back with morality. Well, sure, but I don't think Ice Cube is the avatar for the movement against demonic rituals being performed.
I mean, I kind of like that ideal. It's like he's not the hero we need. He's not the hero we need, but he's the hero we deserve. Like or like they say like nobody is better suited to power than those who didn't seek it. Like Ice Cube's like, look, I didn't want to be the one who brought about the Second American Cultural Revolution, but
wow, I'm even seeing Jake Gyllenhaal stan accounts responding to this. Oh, really? Couldn't she have said this earlier? Like when she released that song about Jake Gyllenhaal and let people hate on him and send him the worst kind of harassment imaginable and threats just because of an effing song? Smiley face?
She is not responsible for her fans. Though I do.
I'm sorry, why do you care about some celebrities' personal life and relationships?
They're
like,
weird. They're weird people, dude.
Congratulations or sorry that happened. I'm not reading all that.
Dude, the way they talk about them is they talk about these people like they know them.
So weird.
They like it's exactly those cases. Who was the famous Sharon Tate? Like it's all that now, except for everyone's too lazy to go actually do the stalking in person. We've gotten lazier as a culture. We used to at least do our stalking in person when we did it. Now we just stalk people digitally because kids these days don't want to work. Even the mentally ill kids that stalk celebrities don't want to work anymore.
Another one says, I'm glad Taylor Swift has the ability to be the bigger person. I unfortunately do not.
Oh my God.
You're gonna avenge your idol.
Dude, how easy must your life be?
This is when, like, we live in such an a-religious and amoral society that this is the moral crusade people pick up. There's no such thing as actually being an atheist. You have to worship something, and for millions of people, they've chosen a celebrity to worship.
It's like, and they don't allow critique, right? Like we talk about them and we're critiquing them. We're critiquing their jobs. We're critiquing how the society and the culture reacts to them. But these people don't want to critique them. They just want blind love and faith in this person to the point where they're willing to do things very, very creepy in their name.
Even when she was recently dating Maddie Healy, who by all accounts goes against everything that her stans think Taylor Swift cares about. That was like totally brushed over. Yeah. So about Maddie Healy, Rina Sawayama, who you might have seen in John Wick 4, she was also on the soundtrack for John Wick 4, has called out Maddie Healy in public at the Glastonbury Festival. And let's just play the video and react to it in real time. This is a song that she's performing about microaggressions.
Wow.
Yeah,
that sounds
so impactful.
That
Queen.
sounds great.
Tired of these microaggressions. So tonight, this goes out to a white man that watches ghetto gathers and mocks Asian people on a podcast. He also owns my masters. I've had it now.
It's all a performance.
So she's claiming Maddie Healy owns her music, but it turns out he's only a co-owner as of January this year. So her beef isn't even, like, her beef with him isn't even real. But, like, okay. She mentioned that this white man watches...
Why does it matter if he's white?
He watches...
You racist prick. Why does that matter?
True story, supposedly. Somebody was at a party at Maddie Healy's apartment, and then everyone left, and she realized she forgot her phone or something in the apartment, and she walked back in on him like 5 minutes later, jacking off to race fetish porn on this site. This is the worst thing I've heard about Maddie Healy. No holds barred. Like, everything else, I don't care, but that actually makes me think, like, yeah, this guy's probably racist. Like, that's
she's no
weird.
bet. Like, what does him being white have anything to do with the complaint she lodged in that post?
It makes
that
it
video
opportunistic because she's not. I mean, this is a genuinely talented musician that like could rely on her own talent.
Yeah, but there's microaggressions to tackle, Mary.
But it's more. It grabs more attention to talk about microaggressions and racism. Another one said, literally no one cares about this Rina Sawayama fake made-up woke Asian gender pop star for Zoomers. You don't have to pretend this is a real thing that needs to be acknowledged. No one knows who this is.
Dude, like, I'm so like, honestly, I don't care about the rest of it. I care about the fact that she felt the need to classify him. Like, first of all, it's insulting that you want to just leave it hang out there because there's a bunch of people you could be implicating, which is bullshit. But then throwing in what he looks like, we are marching slowly every day to worse and worse race relations because it's deemed okay and acceptable to make this type of classification about somebody when it has nothing to do with your complaint about him. If you want to complain about him owning your masters, fine. That's fine. That's a legitimate complaint if it is in fact real, which we then found out later that it isn't. What he looks like on the outside, his skin color, bears nothing to do with this, you racist, race-baiting prick.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Another one said, Rina Sawayama has always used this marketing tactic instead of pushing her musicality. She constantly leans on insincere identity politics as the crescendo to her work. She's intentionally shifting the truth to rile people up because bad album Maddie Healy does not own her album himself. What is this self-victimization? It reminds me this is funny. It reminds me of when Japanese Breakfast did a Vice interview with Meng Chi and Sarah Lee and was like, aren't you mad that white people said your lunch smelled bad and no one wanted to eat Korean food? And they were both like, no.
You know what it is? We live in a culture now, especially in this country, where we have such easy lives that people are desperate to seem as if they've overcome something constantly.
Yeah.
We have it so
Like,
easy here.
I'm
care
sorry,
what
is your nemesis mocking Asian people on a podcast that no one listens to the biggest problem that we have to worry about right now? Is Maddie Healy literally Hitler?
And look, and if I say that, these people would be like, well, it's only easy for you because you're a straight white male. Like me, who destroyed his own life and had to start over from scratch, still has it better than you, the rich, famous celebrity performing in front of a large audience. Kick rocks, you race-baiting piece of crap. I'm so sick of this garbage, and I'm sick of the fact that the media keeps pushing it. And then when everything hits the fan, they're gonna be like, well, we didn't see this coming. How could we have known that we turned half the country against each other?
Yeah.
And it's even worse. These are the people who complain about capitalism. Isn't there something even more depressing about race-based capitalism, where you make where you make your money based on calling out other races?
You make your money based on people pitying.
Yeah, on pity. Thank you, Ian. Thank you.
It just shows, like, I feel a lack of self-respect if you want success based on people pitying you rather than admiring you or your work. Another person has sent a $20. Deuce Boogaloo said, that video was so cringe, we need another Oppenheimer boom. YouTube won't let me say the name of the city where it happened. Really? You can't say that in the chat?
I'm so sick of it because they throw these terms around so flippantly. Not realizing
thankfully, nobody knows who Rina Sawayama is, and no one actually cares.
I mean, there was plenty of people in that audience. Those people care.
In her audience, they're gonna applaud anything she says.
It's just so frustrating, and it's do they not understand that when you make that type of distinction, you're gonna work with somebody in the future? And that person's is going to look like the person you're talking about there, and you're going to say that it's okay to classify them that way. It is not okay for me to classify her by her race as my form of complaint. My ability to critique her has to do with the things she said, not what she looks like.
Imagine if you started a podcast talking about Rina Sawayama, and you were like, this podcast is about an Asian woman who...
It's racist and insane.
Yeah.
These people are racist and insane. And this is what Hollywood champions. I had a video that I almost wanted to cover today. Dane sent it to me earlier. It's a video. It's like, this is how far Disney has fallen. And it's a bunch of videos of Disney stars right after 9/11 talking about what the flag means to them. And it's like Kyla Pratt and all of these Disney celebrities from the early 2000s talking about how the flag means unity. I mean, it's still like weird, like pro-America propaganda, but it's a very, very, very unifying message that they're sharing there. And then they show the Proud Family stuff and then like how far it's fallen since then. There is no money to be made in this. You can call it ESG, or I guess what are they calling it now? Conscientious capitalism. Yeah, fine. But you're doing all of it at the expense of the entire country and its soul. It's disgusting.
This is what they'll do for people applauding them on Twitter. It's not about money. One person said, Rina Sawayama is 100 million times braver than all the outlets that wouldn't cover this and people who wouldn't acknowledge this.
Well, first of all, who are these imaginary outlets that wouldn't cover this? Who are the imaginary outlets that wouldn't cover this? Everyone would cover it. If you mattered, everyone would cover it.
Well, no, everyone covered the Maddie Healy controversies. Literally, that was pasted everywhere because it's related to Taylor Swift. Yeah. But also, no one cares about Maddie Healy.
Yep. No, they don't.
One, like, we were talking about him because he was dating Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Both of these people are entirely irrelevant.
He will soon fade back into obscurity because he will not matter to anyone.
You said he's going to be the Morrissey of our generation.
He could be the Morrissey of our generation. It's,
I see potential.
Yeah, just not good.
Wow, finally someone calling out Maddie Healy because all the other girlies are too busy bootlicking him. I don't think that's happening either.
Well, it happens.
I think nobody cares about this guy, and nobody cares about Rina Sawayama.
It's sad too because people are saying that her music's good. So if her music's good, that should be enough.
Right, exactly.
Like, that's just sad.
I do like her music, and she also did a good job in John Wick 4, and they were like setting it up for a spin-off based on her.
And that's the thing. We'll still go see her movies. And if you like her music, you should listen to her music. But I wish people
because we're the bigger people.
I wish people would just get away from the classifying other people based on immutable characteristics that has nothing to do with your complaint, because it's not relevant.
Well, to her, it has everything to do with her complaint, because he is oppressing her from a place of power and privilege, and that's why he owns her music. So, yeah.
All right.
The Swiftie harassment campaigns continue. Let's go to Super Chats.
Yep.
Andrew Jacobs said, "Hi, Mary. Welcome back. Don't answer this if you don't want to, but which was more painful, the septum piercing or the lip tattoo?" Hi, Brett. Okay, the lip tattoo, that was a joke. I don't actually have a tattoo inside my lip that says based, but I was considering it. I still am considering it, if I'm honest. Or I could tattoo a Zin inside my lip, so there's always going to be a Zin in my mouth. I didn't get a septum piercing either. That was a fake. I just bought a fake septum ring on the internet. So, yeah, guess that's a non-answer to your question. Noah Sanders said, "If we want hard R comedy, we need Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer, Mark Normand, and Shane Gillis to write movies. Those would be fecking hilarious." Yeah, whatever happened to the Wayans brothers?
The Wayans brothers are still around. Damon Wayans is still acting, and they're doing a new Lethal Weapon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is White Chicks a hard R comedy?
Yes.
That seems to fit.
We should watch that.
You haven't seen it?
I've seen we should watch it. It'd be great to do like reactions to those types of stuff from back in the day. White Chicks is great.
It was so funny. I was watching, like, you know how old trailers always had the very gravelly narration. It was like, I was watching the trailer for it yesterday, and it was like, "See two black men go where no black men have gone ever before," and it's like the Hamptons.
Well, they have there's more than one trailer voice. There's a lighter tone guy who does this,
but it's usually the same guy.
Yeah, it's probably
trailers don't have that anymore.
They still do.
It doesn't seem like they do.
Not as much.
Not nearly as much.
Oh no, they don't really use, not for big budget movies. Not really.
Yeah. For rom-coms especially. Yep. Urashima Otaru said they switched from turning to a touchscreen.
The buttons on The Price is Right. See?
Ooh.
Amazing. I love it. Like, I wish they would bring back the old one where she actually had to flip the thing. Though, you know what would be interesting? I would like to see the behind the scenes video of how they because now, like, imagine this. So when it was like a thing you turned, they had to move everything around so that they fit in the place so that she could turn it in the right place. Now it's just digital. Yeah. They just change it with a button. That's no fun. I want to see the video of like probably some poor intern whose job it was to put those in there. And it's like slot 37 always sticks. Don't tell Mike the intern. He's going to have a hell of a first day. Like, that's the story I want to see. If we have to see the movie about the fake story about the Cheetos guy, I want to see the video about the embattled Wheel of Fortune intern who had to get slot 37 filled every day with the sticky button.
Rockstar Podcast said Vanna White touched my vowel.
Look, hey man, who would say no?
Wayward Soul said Ice Spice. Who the hell is Ice Spice? Donald Trump.
Plenty. Yeah. I love it. It's funnier if Donald Trump listens to Ice Spice.
Yeah.
Donald.
He's plugged into the culture.
He is. Like, look, there are so many rap songs from the 90s and 2000s that talk about Donald Trump because he was such an inspiration to so many people. Like, come on. Like, it's funnier if he's, and plus her music is the opposite of this dance of his pterodactyl arm or his Tyrannosaurus Rex arm dance that he does.
I think Trump could do a good dinosaur dance to Boy's a Liar.
I wonder if Trump could sturdy if we really if
he could do the gritty.
If we gave him enough ibuprofen, he's getting old.
By the way, if you haven't seen it yet, please, if you're in the chat, look up Nikocado Avocado doing the gritty. You need to see it. Gordon Shumway said, shout out to Ice-T, the king of irony. He writes and performs a song called Cop Killer, then goes on to portray a cop for over 20 years, only in America.
The argument that people would make there is that they grew up and they changed their position, which is, he's also super pro 2A. But also, like, I make fun of Eminem because the song, not White America. The White America was like the song of a generation, right? Like when you really think about it, like think about all the, like what happened at that time period. That really was the sound of the culture. But there's like a lot of Eminem's early music kind of runs in conflict with his later stuff because he got older. His views changed. It happens.
He got older and he became uncool because he got older. I mean, what can you expect? Corn Pop, I'm sorry, I'm not going to read that.
Well, there's one. We haven't heard the not going to read that in a while. Let's read one more and then we'll move on.
Gordon Shumway said T Swift's exes should all get together and corroborate on an album with songs about how crazy, narcissistic, and toxic she is. I bet they have some stories that are juicy. I bet they do too. I mean, you can't be that hot and not get a guy to stay with you. Unless you're just tragically crazy.
I watched a great video of the breakdown of the hot crazy scale where he gets into the numbers at the bottom and how he classifies them. And he goes, but if he's like, here we are at the 10. If they're a 10 hot and under in a 4 to 5 crazy, because his rule is that there is no such thing as a woman under a 4 crazy, because all women are crazy at least a little bit. He's like, if you get a woman who's a 10 hot and a 4 crazy, you're in the unicorn zone. You need to steal. You need to cap it. You need to capture it, and you need to sedate it and give it to us so we can research it, so we can clone them, so we can make more.
I don't think all women are at
least a 4 crazy. I don't know, man. It's those, here, let me make an argument.
Should crazy men be with crazy women?
No.
Or should it always be someone like one person isn't crazy and the other is crazy?
I mean, they say opposites attract, right? Like you have to have the one person who's crazy. What do they say? Like there's like one person goes to bed at 9 and the other one goes to bed at 3 a.m. and they marry each other and they always end up marrying each other. Like it's like people end up marrying somebody who's the complete opposite of them. It's very true. All right, let's hold off on the rest and let's come back, shall we? So let's move on. Okay. So recently, ladies and gentlemen, we got a couple Netflix stories here today. So as you know, last week was all about the sub. It was all about the submersible and the tragic passing of the 4 or 5 people on the sub.
It was 5.
It was 5. That's right. Okay, so it was the tragic passing of the 5 individuals who passed away on the sub. What's happening is Netflix is cashing in like the evil narcissistic, like the evil capitalists that they are. That's what they're doing. They're going to cash in by bringing back Titanic. Did you see this?
Yes, it says Titanic will be added back to Netflix on July 1st. My first reaction to this was like, I don't think that we have the collective attention span to even remember what happened to the submersible by July 1st.
Oh, it'll be gone by then.
It's already kind of gone.
Yeah, people are like, they're my favorite
collective consciousness.
My favorite meme the other day says like, I'm done being a submersible expert. Now I'm going to be an expert on military coups in Russia. Like,
exactly, and each phase lasts for like 3 days.
Like my favorite part about the fact that we live in a news cycle that's basically it's continuous, it's omnipresent. There is no 24-hour or week-long news cycle anymore. It's just always the news.
Yeah.
Is that I'm not an expert in anything, nor do you have to be, because the news changes so damn fast.
Yeah.
Like
also I guess the information that there was like repeated like 30-minute interval banging coming from the ocean was like
cap.
Not real.
Yeah, it had to be fake.
It was just totally fake news.
The explosion happened.
It was an implosion. I saw the press release that they did with the Coast Guard where this guy was just repeatedly dodging questions that were like asking whether they're going down there to retrieve the bodies. It's like, I don't know how we can emphasize this enough. They're not going to go down and do another death mission to retrieve the bodies, which are not intact. Like, that was all that the media wanted to ask him. But once again, I will say the Titanic is not a good movie. It was a movie about a woman being a floozy on the cruisy.
On the cruisy?
She didn't have any right to cheat on her fiance with some brokey.
Brokey.
Just because he grabbed her wrist one time or like gave her a little slap.
In the chat, Rick Bungle asks, is Celine Dion still alive? Yes, but she hasn't been performing because she got that horrible medical diagnosis.
Right. But that song has been going up in streams too.
Oh yeah, immediately. Like it re-entered the top 10 instantly. Another thing is like, look, I saw this amazing video yesterday and I reposted it on my Instagram story. It's the scene of her about to jump over, but instead they do post-production and make her she's dropping in on a ramp on a skateboard and she's holding the back of the ramp and the whole thing is like, I love that people have the time to do that.
The creativity.
And the creativity.
Not gonna lie, the submarine or submersible memes were funny and I'm not gonna apologize for laughing at it.
No, it's the people that seemed happy that they were dead.
I am not like one of the weirdos that was like cheering it on and like
it's the same thing as what we were just
hoping for something horrible to be revealed about the situation because of like having a rose emoji in my screen name and like being part of the local DSA club. That was cringe, but like if you're shaming people for making memes or making jokes about something dark, you're just a humorless person.
No, it's the same. It's in because reasons we'll get to it in a second here. Look, it's the same reasons I'm talking about the girl from the story before this. They're not. It's not what you're saying. It's the fact that you're classifying as that what happened to them is okay because they had money. Like
right.
It's another useless qualifier. They're all human beings. So if you're going to be happy that they died and you're just happy that people died, that's fucked up. But I would be less annoyed by that because you're just a scumbag psychopath rather than a scumbag psychopath who thinks that his qualifiers to his statement make it okay.
Yeah, especially for the 19-year-old that was on the submersible who only went because he was trying to make his dad happy for Father's Day. Like that's the saddest story there.
Absolutely.
And he didn't choose to be born into wealth, so why have zero empathy for him?
But that's the thing. Like the problem here is that we've added qualifiers that now make it okay, make it socially acceptable to be awful to people.
We've had qualifiers that like what makes you deserving of empathy.
Yeah.
Or like what makes you like deserving of any human compassion.
Yeah. And like imagine being these people who, like you said, kids that didn't ask to be born into it.
Yeah.
Will they end up being good people or bad people? I don't know, but that's not the point. That type of behavior, it's kind of like when they talk about how they want the ability, like I saw an article recently, I read an article talking about how they're going to start taking like race into account, race and sex into account when giving out medical treatment. So like your classification, like who you are as a person could decide whether you get treatment or not.
Not for medical reasons.
But
it's
doctor...
just affirmative action if you're on like a kidney donor list.
But doctors don't want that. Like actual empathetic doctors, they understand like, look, we bring criminals into ERs all the time. And there's been plenty of movies and television shows that do the plot where like, look, the cops don't care if this guy dies. The doctor is the one who has to decide, look, human life is a human life, the Hippocratic Oath, right? Like they're supposed to save you no matter what. And acting like because you're white or black or rich or something makes it okay for people to wish ill upon you is weird.
I think some of it wasn't even about them being like white or rich. It was more just like that we have this twisted desire to look at fear porn and look at like catastrophe porn, and we love like when the news catastrophizes things and like the countdown for the oxygen levels on the submersible on the news.
Yeah, that was creepy.
That's creepy. That's weird that we have this like desire for the worst case scenario to be the case. And fortunately the least bad thing happened, which is that they died instantly. But that brings me to...
People got mad at people for saying that too. People were saying like, but they died, so it's awful. It's like, they're saying like, look, the world is not that black and white.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but we had two $20
sorry about that.
We had two. We had
because Reason said evidence came out showing they did not test that sub properly. Darwin Award for everyone involved. Congratulations. We can stop talking about it. Yeah, they were also like unearthing all of these tweets from OceanGate celebrating the diversity of their team, and it was like, oh no. Like I've said this before, affirmative action is going to kill people, and now we know it already has. Derp Devil said, don't fall for the act. All of these people clutching their pearls for the billionaires who died only mention their wealth, never their names. It is just hypocrisy and fake indignation. Moment of silence for wet corpses.
I have no problem with the dark humor. I have a problem with the idea that people have now got it into their head that there is an okay group to wish death upon.
Right, yeah.
That is not true. Like, you can laugh at tragedy. You should not laugh at tragedy with qualifiers.
I want to post, or I want to show the post of HRH Collection's reaction to the situation.
Is it collection or collective?
Collection, because it's literally like named after her brand.
Okay, here we go. This is Mary's favorite person. I have a feeling if
Look, I'm not endorsing what she says in this video. I just thought it was like
I have
crazy.
a feeling if me and her, if I met this lady in person, we'd actually explode from the hyperactivity that goes on, that would go on during the conversation. So here we go.
I wanted that, either that, them to be bobbing at the top of the ocean, dead inside. I know, it's so evil. I know. Or I want them to have gotten in contact with them somehow and been stuck at the bottom. And I wanted to see something horrific, okay? I wanted the ship to be full of like diarrhea and vomit from them being so fucking terrified. I wanted them to like be eating each other. Okay, you're gonna kill me, I know, I swear. And I wanted them to like have been fighting amongst each other, right? Like literally, that's what I wanted. I wanted something to happen. If you're gonna,
our society is so
what,
screwed.
The fact that the whole thing in the end is like they imploded halfway down, like, oh my god, like what? So I've been sitting on the edge of my seat for fucking what? That's what I'd like to know. For literally for fucking what? For no fucking reason, for nothing, for something totally anticlimactic. Like really, no. Like, where is all the shock and awe in this? I have been full of anxiety, like thinking like, oh my god, what if they're stuck at the bottom, like caught in the wreckage? Like they're literally, what if they went down there and like the stupid gaming control thing like didn't work and then they can't back up or they can't go straight and they're like stuck down there. Can you imagine how pissed you would be if the captain was sitting right there and you're like literally this close to them and like, you know, shit would have gone down, right? Like, you know, they would have been like killing each other or like beating each other up, like pissing and shitting everywhere, like throwing up because like they're so sick to their stomach they know they're gonna die. Like I wanted something more than nothing. Okay.
We are so screwed as a society.
Like she's not even saying that because they're billionaires.
No, she's just saying it.
She's just saying it because she like, at least she admits that it's evil that she like wanted that outcome, right?
She's clearly mentally ill. Did you see her nails?
What was wrong with them?
They're just they're just ratchet.
Yeah, I feel like she's saying the quiet part out loud, though. Like, this is the outcome that everyone watching that countdown on the news wanted.
Yeah. Like,
if you're watching it on the edge of your seat with the oxygen countdown, that's you in the video.
Yeah. They did,
she's
funny.
just admitting it.
Just
you know?
before, just like a week before this, this happened, I watched an episode of a show called Scorpion, where a kid gets trapped in a sinkhole and they have the same thing where the news is reporting on it live as they're trying to save this kid, and they have like an oxygen counter on the screen.
We've got one from Because Reasons. He said, ever see the movie Airplane? A woman went hysterical and everyone on the plane shook her violently and slapped her.
See? It's what we did back
Correct course of action.
It's what we used to do back in the day.
But yeah, I mean, I guess at least the CEO paid the ultimate price for his negligence.
I also want to point out that I don't know if Netflix is actually cashing in or if this was just scheduled to come back.
Of course they are.
They would have had to buy the rights. So they would have had to buy the rights to get this movie back to stream it, right? So to do that, is it really worth doing if
you don't think?
Well, nobody's going to remember this in T-minus 2 weeks. I don't think it's worth
going to
it.
be.
It won't be. It will not be part of the
now.
collective consciousness of of society anymore in a week, because we're so programmed now for the 24-hour news cycle. In like 2 weeks, we're like, didn't something happen like a while ago that made me think about Titanic?
I bet that as soon as this submersible like news cycle started, Netflix was already on the ball trying to buy the rights, because they are trying to capitalize on the tragedy.
They're like, and it's got like the tag, it's like submerge yourself in the greatest love story ... again.
I'm shocked that you don't think that's the reason why. Like, that's obviously.
I mean, the movies get moved from streaming services all the time. This would have ended up on some streaming service next month, likely.
Also, like, class differences were obviously a huge theme in Titanic.
So they're saying Titanic is on Prime right now. So they're the ones who cashed in. Bezos is the one who's coming out of this one ahead.
Yeah. Well, James Cameron also.
I also love that Cameron basically humble bragged about going down there like 30
I went down
times.
there 33 times and nothing happened to me.
Nothing happened to me.
I'm okay. But Mr. Beast revealed that he was actually invited to go on the submersible and declined the invitation.
Smart guy.
Yeah, I mean, it takes some really good forethought to know that was a bad idea. But he showed this screenshot of a text that said, I'm going to the Titanic in a submarine later this month. The team would be stoked to have you along. I'm sure you're welcome to join.
Imagine, well, I love the fact that they don't know that there's got to be like a head count and like an acceptable amount of people that you can just bring all your bros with. Like, you got a car with 5 people, right? Like 3 seats in the back and 2 in the front. You don't just say, I'm sure you can come with. You have to have to know that there's only so many spots available. Also, imagine the hate he would have gotten if he would have died. They're like, oh, guess the grifter deserved to die in the end.
They hate Mr. Beast for being rich and definitely would have gloated over his grave if he had died on the submersible.
We had $20 super chat there.
Oh, Deuce Boogaloo said, women will post stuff like that and then wonder why the entire planet and every major religion has imposed strict social restrictions on their sovereignty since the dawn of time in every place humans have ever lived.
Phil would have loved reading that.
Love that copy pasta. And it's very true.
It's, you know.
But, like, I'm just saying, she's at least putting it out there, like, and admitting that she had this, like, death drive, that she wanted to see the ugly outcome.
I don't even believe that she
because a lot of people don't have the honesty with themselves or others to admit that.
Yeah.
And that's what this whole news cycle was about anyway. But people thought that Mr. Beast was faking this text because it's blue, which means he would have been the one that sent it. But then he clarified that it was sent, a screenshot that was sent from the person who invited him, who also didn't end up going, thankfully. But yeah, it was a weird coincidence.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a safe way to do this, though.
Yeah, well, obviously,
and they just
ask James Cameron.
Didn't plan it properly.
But also, like I love how like the internet sleuths who are like, I don't know if you that's not. Thank you. Maybe we can make a Celine Dion theme. It's party time.
Well, in a week's time, nobody is gonna remember, so.
Maybe we can.
Celine Dion party isn't really going to hit the same.
It can be one where it's like, I forget what her condition is.
Then we would literally be capitalizing off of the tragedy.
Yes. I don't remember what those. Celine Dion, I don't remember what it is, but whatever Celine Dion's condition is, it's horrible. I just remember it being
What
really
is it?
bad.
It's like.
Is it memory loss or something?
No, it's literally that she won't be able to move any of her muscles at some point.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful.
It's like some rare, like, Parkinson's, like.
Yeah, it was.
Disease.
Wasn't it have to do with her vocal cords or something like that?
If you can't move any of your muscles, you can't move your neck or your vocal cords. So she won't be able to talk either.
I also saw people were reviewing the controller from the event on Amazon.
Yeah, what was it? It was like a PS2.
Yeah.
That wasn't even the problem. It was just that they didn't test any of it, and also it didn't look like it was very comfortable to be on there anyway. There were no seats. And there's one window that's 20 inches long. That means like only the people in the front are gonna get to see anything.
Yeah, dude. It's
But I mean, the people selling the tours were capitalizing off the tragedy of the Titanic in the first place.
Yep.
I don't know. It just seems like a.
Well, I mean, people have been doing that for as long. I mean, people go to monuments all the time for bad things that have happened. People go to. Like, I guess, like, because I was thinking, like, Civil War. Like, people go to the Civil War battlegrounds out here all the time, but that's part of history in a different way, right? That's not celebrating, but acknowledging, you know, what has been sacrificed in the name of change for a country. What changed? I guess, like, if you were if you were a company that built boats and you wanted to celebrate all the change that has been made from you know, from safety regulations after the sub crashed, but in general, not really the same thing.
Yeah, when I was on my trip in France, I went to the Normandy beaches and I like went to the monuments and all that, the cemetery. And like it really depressed me because some people might hate me for saying this, but like from my worldview, I can tell that like these men died for a country that no longer exists, and they like died for values that this country no longer holds.
She died. Celine Dion. It's called stiff person syndrome.
Yeah, it's some like
A rare neurological condition that causes spasms and muscle rigidity and causes singer Celine Dion to cancer. That's freaking awful,
Yeah.
dude.
So
And her husband just died a couple years ago, and
she's not going to be able to perform.
and you know what? People are gonna be like, "Well, she's rich. Sucks. Good.
Right.
Good. I'm glad that happened to her. She's rich. Who would like?" No, I'm sorry. She's not a billionaire, so you can't be mad at her because she's not a billionaire. Because Bernie Sanders decided that it wasn't the millionaires and the billionaires; it was just the billionaires. Once he himself became a millionaire, therefore now it's okay to be a millionaire.
Someone quote tweeted the HRH video and said, "This is white people's version of post-traumatic slave syndrome, psychotic desire and pleasure for violence and torture and suffering." Once again, the race baiting continues.
Ugh. All right.
Yikes.
Let's move on, shall we?
Yeah, that was all a big yikes. I
Yikes.
just needed a chance to talk about it because I was gone for.
Yeah, you really missed
all
out
that
on like
drama.
one of the biggest stories that's happened in a while. Like it was also one of those ones that seemed like it inspired a lot of people to ask the question like, why do some stories become more famous than others? Like what was it about this story that captured people's imagination? And people had to kind of figure out like, is it because it's the Titanic? Is it because of the unique circumstances? And it allowed people to kind of look at what it is that we as a culture find to be interesting and kind of dissect it in a way because it's such a rare story. Yeah.
Corey Anderson said, "Corn pop, that would be a deal breaker." That was to the super chat I wouldn't read. Then he said, "That chick is ripping off Koran."
Oh, Korn, because the
Korn?
song, the song
Okay.
that she was playing.
And then he said, "Swifties versus BTS stans. That is the next Squid Games."
I'd be down to watch that.
Yeah.
I would absolutely be down to watch that. That would be awesome.
And then it's just like BTS or Taylor Swift who's going in the dunk tank. Sketch Therapy said, "It's tall people privilege, no parades for the short."
Yeah, well, you know.
What is that? What's tall people privilege?
There's also beautiful people privilege. The people trust
That's real.
beautiful people more than they trust
Do they trust tall people more than short people?
to buy cars.
Really?
Like they trust men that exude more masculine traits when buying a car.
But being tall doesn't necessarily mean
They trust you to pick things up off the top shelf.
true.
Did I ever tell the story on this podcast? I think I did. Where I once got asked to get something off the top shelf for somebody who was like the greatest.
She must have been like
She was very short.
4'5".
Okay, no, this is a great story. So okay, I was at Walmart, and this lady's like, "Son, could you get that off the top shelf for me?" I'm like, "Of course I can." Because when am I
Could
ever,
you?
as at 5'5", when am I ever going to be asked that question, right? So I do, and I get the item for her, and I'm not kidding you. Like 2 aisles later, I'm getting something off the top shelf that's high up but farther back, and somebody's like, "Do you need me to get that for you?" I'm like, "You ruined it."
Yeah, you ruined the moment.
You ruined it. It was like 5 minutes earlier. It was almost like they watched it happen and saw how pleased I was with myself, and were like, "I'm about to ruin this
You need to
motherfucker's
take that
whole
guy down
day."
a peg.
He's not gonna brag about this to his friends later. No siree.
Because Reason said they've been screaming Nazi since the early 90s. So yes, you should be sick of it, Brett. Sick and tired a long time ago.
Well, I have been sick and tired for a long time. It's just it has to be specific examples that come up that reinvigorate my desire to complain about it. But at the same time, I try to also treat everything as I don't want to get caught up in the anger of it all. Like that's not healthy or productive either, nor is it a recipe to live a good life if you're constantly angry about something. So I can be annoyed at what's her name, Rina
Sawayama.
I kept calling her Rita.
Have an easier name to pronounce. How about that?
No, even that's me. As somebody with a last name that a lot of people can't pronounce. Also, somebody in the chat says height is correlating with intelligence. That must be why I'm so dumb.
It does?
Apparently, it must be why I'm so dumb.
That's crazy.
All right, let's do 2 more and then we'll move on.
Because Reason said, "Great to see you on the show again, Mary. Are you the special guest today?"
She is back.
Are you throwing shade?
She is back, ladies and gentlemen.
No,
Look,
I'm happy to be back.
we asked her to
no
go
idea.
forth and spread the good word of Pop Culture Crisis to podcasts across the land, and she does so. She does her job very well.
I won't be going away for that much time in a while, though. That was too much travel for me.
And also, guys, next week will be a short week because of the 4th of July, and I am going home for for the 4th of July because my birthday is July 2nd. So I'm going to go spend...
what do you want for your birthday?
Adrenochrome. I want some adrenochrome to try.
I have a couple ideas, but that wasn't one of them.
That was one of them. We'll have to see.
Trauma Llama. Wait, what were you saying?
No, go ahead.
Trauma Llama said, "Welcome back, ghost of the host, back from across the coast. Had some French toast. Came back, ghosted again. Did some drugs with Alex Stein. Hugged Brett because he's so fine."
I'm calling cap on the Brett because that's Brett with a 1T. So unless she hugs the
Brett with 1T?
Unless she hugged the hurricane, Brett, like that, I don't think you can really hug a hurricane. So let's hold off on the rest. We'll come back. Let's talk about Netflix one more time. This is why Netflix is awesome. Not only, ladies and gentlemen, not only are they capitalizing on the tragedy from the sub by reincorporating the rights to the movie Titanic, they're also slapping down Meghan and Harry by saying, like, look, either make us some content that people actually want to watch, or you're about to lose out on a lot of money. And I'm here for it. I would love to have been in the room when they said this to Harry and Meghan.
Yeah, so we just covered them getting their Spotify deal dropped.
Yep.
That was some fun schadenfreude. Because
also, I saw this other thing that where basically they were saying, like, were you here when we were talking about her faking the podcast?
No.
Okay, so that
came out right after.
Yeah.
I was like,
so
the timing.
Basically, what was happening is like she would be there if she was interviewing somebody famous, like Serena Williams or Mindy Kaling. But if it was like an interview with just a Joe Schmo 32 Electric Boogaloo who's got a book coming out, her producers filmed those interviews and then they laid her voice in over it,
right,
to make it seem like she was the one that did it.
Which was the real issue with Meghan Markle's podcast, which I unfortunately listened to at least a few episodes of for research purposes. Is it was all pre-recorded and like pre-rehearsed and scripted, and cold and clinical, just like everything Meghan Markle does. Like, she couldn't come off as an organic personality to save her life.
She's not an organic person. She's an extremely inorganic person.
She couldn't even pretend to be relatable.
You know who she should do a podcast with? Gwyneth Paltrow. They can be unapproachable and unobtainable together.
But then it would turn into a competition.
Like, I love it. Then they could talk about it like, yes, well, my thread count is this much, and my thread count is this much. Oh my gosh, did you remember that one time when the valet did not bring my car back exactly when I asked? Like, it'd be fantastic. I would love to see when you're Gwyneth Paltrow and you lean into the fact that you don't have any clue what's going on with the common man. That's fine.
At least that's her public image. But Meghan Markle wants to seem like this.
Gwyneth Paltrow's not a victim.
Princess Diana, every woman, when she's anything but that.
Yeah. So the honchos at Netflix had a convo with the ex-royal couple, supposedly telling them, make better must-see content or risk not getting the rest of that $100 million contract. Well, how are they going to pay their bills and live in privacy if they don't get the rest of their $100 million contract?
Well, it was an £81 million contract. They have 40 million still on the line, the other half of it.
Does that just come through as one
like
wire
a 2-year
transfer?
Deal, right?
Does this just come through as like one wire transfer? Just
I have no idea.
like I would actually like to be the type of person, like, look, imagine the day, like, I remember Mark Cuban tells this story about the day he bought, like, when he became a billionaire and he bought his private jet. That was like the first thing he bought, because he's like the one thing that you can't buy is time and having the convenience of a private jet. Like, and he talks about how that was the biggest internet purchase ever made, like him buying a jet online. He basically Amazon has like
he didn't even want to test fly.
Amazon has like the one-click buy option. Like, I'm picturing that, but like I would like to be there if I was Meghan or Harry, or if I'm somebody some brokey as Andrew Tate would call him. Imagine you sell some idea worth $100 million. I want to actually be able to look on the screen as my bank account says like $5.92, and then you get to see the wire transfer where all the money ends up in your account.
I love Bill Simmons from Spotify crapping on Meghan Markle, but now the CEO of her talent agency has also
He's like, Bill Simmons isn't going to be the only
bullied
one.
her and said, turns out Meghan Markle was not a great audio talent or necessarily any kind of talent, and just because you're famous doesn't make you great at something.
Look, I'm with, like, I say all the time, like, look, I'm like, imposter syndrome is a real thing. There's actually something to be said for somebody like her who maybe she has no imposter syndrome. She's really bad at it. Like, hey, I have imposter syndrome all the time. And I always wonder, I'm like, who the hell would listen to me talk? I sound ridiculous. But then I imagine her, she's like, who wouldn't want to listen to me talk? I'm fantastic. Like, she's like, who wouldn't want to listen to my prissy little know-it-all voice all the time?
That's why I almost find Kamala Harris kind of relatable, because she memed herself into a position she was massively underqualified for and finds it funny.
She's like, wait, I'm not qualified, am I?
She clearly thinks it's like funny that she's the vice president.
Like, sometimes she looks at her business card and giggles.
Yeah.
She's like, who the hell would hire me for this? It's like those memes. It's like when you lie on your resume, but you get the job.
Right.
It's like a dog paddling with a bunch of
literally
ducks.
Kamala Harris.
It's amazing.
But I don't know. They can't make anything worth watching, so why should we care?
Would they
the
make?
docuseries was the only, like, the docuseries objectively, it was successful, but only because people were hate watching it.
And it's the connection to the royal family.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have anything interesting about them outside of their connections to the royal family. Like, you know what I would want to watch? I would watch a whole series of him venting about how she bullies him. Like, if he made a series, like, sometimes I
need him to go on Andrew Tate's show.
He's like, she used to yell at me because I didn't make the bed properly. And so I hired a maid, and then she yelled at me because I didn't hire a good enough maid, and nothing's ever good enough.
Not even the nanny wants to have an affair with Prince Harry.
Yeah. Like, I'm like,
he's that deflated.
And then also he pitched his podcast idea of doing a podcast about male childhood trauma, in which he wanted to get Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin to come onto his podcast and talk about their childhood
trauma. They have some better things to do.
Which would be only cool if they came on together and did it at the same time, and they did a round table of men's trauma, and it's Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, Elon Musk, and who else? And Mark Zuckerberg. And Mark Zuckerberg has to pretend like he had a childhood, like he's actually a human being. So he has to feign humanity.
I'm not saying that Prince Harry or Meghan Markle have never had a real problem in their lives, but if it's not something that anyone can relate to, then it doesn't need to be broadcasted.
Well, yeah, we talk a lot about how, like, look, certain types of people complaining, there's a market for it because they are very clearly the everyday person, whereas nobody wants to hear the complaint, and that's not fair to them either, to be fair. Like, you're allowed to complain, but you just can't monetize it like a person who's just an everyday person can monetize it.
Yeah, I mean, there are mental health podcasts, they're just not run by Prince Harry, who is the pinnacle of privilege. There is
some hard truths to the world that, like, look, you can become rich off of complaining, but you can't be rich and stay rich off of complaining.
I mean, they could retire right now and never work again or create anything else in their lives. So I don't know why they're still on the grift anyway.
Like, people listen to podcasts like this, or podcasts like, or other people that complain about entertainment, because they understand that they live a life similar to theirs, right? Mm-hmm. They're working, they're working, they're living their life, they're maybe paycheck to paycheck. They have a life that a person can empathize with. Therefore, the complaints feel more as if they have a connection with what that person would say. But when somebody who's like, look, they sent me a black BMW rather than a red one, that doesn't resonate with people who have a large demographic.
It's also sort of like these podcasts that keep popping up made by former child stars, like the Wizards of Waverly Place podcast, where all they talk about is what it was like to be on Wizards of Waverly Place.
And then they abuse in every
without
story's about
Selena
abuse.
Gomez there, and they constantly bring up Selena Gomez because that's the only point of interest about it.
Yeah.
You're just milking content where there's nothing to talk about. But like the docuseries, it did well because they were connected to the royal family. They're complaining about what it was like to be in the royal family, which no one cares about. But then
I think a lot of people still care about the royal family. It's so weird.
They care about hate watching Harry and Meghan. Yeah. But then his memoir, Spare, it did well, once again, because he was complaining about growing up in the royal family. Yeah. But there's only so far you can take that. And if you're not interesting in your own right, leave podcasting to the podcasters, because they're the ones who are good at it, you know? And again, like, her podcast, I can't express enough how I don't know, like, how do I explain it? It's like what they compared it to, the self-important yoga instructor who won't shut up while you're trapped in the spa relaxation room. She has this like lullaby sing-songy tone to her voice, where it's like overly calm and like nannying, while she's talking about sexism and how she's put upon and oppressed.
She is very
with
oppressed.
Paris Hilton.
She's very oppressed. Her and Paris Hilton were both very oppressed.
At least Paris Hilton's story is a little more interesting because she came from like she's an heiress. She's came from like a different type of royalty in America, but then made something of herself because she's an interesting person. Yeah. Meghan Markle isn't capable of doing that.
She's also more multifaceted and more business minded, it seems like, than Meghan Markle is. She's but also I actually think that a large plot, like as much as people like talk about that time, I think there's a certain amount of guilt laid at the feet of the culture that world that she created, that Paris Hilton created, where we started monetizing trauma more than ever,
like
and
trashy tabloid culture.
Whereas once they would shy away from it and not want to embrace it, she embraced it fully, and that leans hard into a lot of the things that are the problem with society now, right? Like, I think a lot of the things that we have going on right now could be laid at the feet, not her necessarily alone, but the culture that was permeated from that world at that time.
I find it more interesting when a celebrity is able to keep their name in the news and like keep people talking about them without starting drama, without complaining, and without creating beefs with people. Like, people were talking about this with Zendaya. Yeah. She's one of the most like quote unquote unproblematic stars out there.
She's young though. Like Tom Holland could be said for that as well. Tom Holland stays relevant without it being about him being oppressed. But it's more impressive if they can do that when they get older and they don't have to start cashing in on the stories that they had when they were younger.
Did you see the story about Zendaya getting turned away from that restaurant in Rome? She was like wearing a tube top and she wasn't allowed in because of what she was wearing.
They're like, sorry, you're dressed a little too skanky.
And all the Americans just didn't understand.
They're like, we don't get it. She looks totally normal. At least she's not fat.
You gotta grant her that.
Like here in America, we'd have to look at them with the tube top and the rolls, and I do not want to watch both.
I'm so tired of the debate about whether Zendaya is mid.
Keanu stays in the news for positive reasons.
Give me a straight male perspective. Is Zendaya mid?
I hate that. Look, these are subjective terms. Zendaya's very pretty.
Yeah.
Too lanky for me.
Okay.
But she's all
to be like passionate either way, I feel is like gay.
And then like but it's like is that supposed to mean like then somebody's like, well, if she offered to have sex with you, you totally would, like, yeah, I would.
That would be like 99.999%.
I'm a guy.
Of
course I would. But that's like
men have no actual standards when it comes to like who they'll hook up with.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true. But I'm saying like, but she is a celebrity, which means she's above a certain average, right? So it's like, even if I said she was mid, which I'm not going to say, I'm not going to take a hard stance on this one way or the other. Her body type she's taller than me and lanky. So, you know, it is what it is.
They were comparing her to Sydney Sweeney.
Now, I find her to be very attractive.
Sydney Sweeney, someone like posted like, what is the definition of sex appeal? And everyone was saying Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, it's the eyes.
She has like these oversexed eyes.
Yeah. You know what it is? She looks simultaneously very excited and dead inside. Like she looks a little dead inside in a hot way.
Yeah. It's like I said, men like when a woman looks like she's been bonked on the head.
Yeah. Like you look at Sydney Sweeney, you're like, wow, she would. For a lot of the guys, I think it's just like there's a certain type of like disregard for rules in her eyes, and societal norms.
I see.
Like you can
be hot without having sex appeal, which is Taylor Swift is the definition of that.
A guy looks at her and is like, she would do the one thing that my last girlfriend would not do.
Or is it just the roles that she plays?
I mean, I don't think that's it. Because I think if you saw her in public and hadn't seen a single thing from her eyes are going to do it to you either way. We got a $20 one there from Dirk Devil.
Sorry, I'm waiting for it to pop up. He said, Brett says Zendaya is very pretty. He also said The Flash was a solid 6 or 7. Keep that in mind when you ask the king of generous appraisals if she is attractive. Love the guy, but he takes Speak No Evil to an extreme.
Is that true? Am I too nice? Is that why the ladies don't like me? Because I'm too nice? I hear that's the reason ladies don't like you when you get too
she's
nice.
Obviously above average.
Yes. But there's
which
also...
is not mid,
But
right?
there's also such a thing as like, look, you can be above average and still objectively be like, she's taller than me and extremely skinny.
You're talking about it like if you actually had the option.
Yes.
To date her.
Yeah.
If Zendaya were in your DMs right now, would you go on a date with her?
I'd put those lifts in your shoes and get it, King.
Or stilts.
Actually, no, it doesn't matter because she's taller than Tom Holland and he doesn't seem to care.
Yeah, maybe she likes.
Or no,
short
maybe she's taller than him with heels on, or something.
Oh, okay.
Like something like that. But
She'd
yeah,
be taller than almost anyone with heels on, though.
it's Also,
all right, we're getting off topic. Let's.
No, I love it. Who the hell cares about topic?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Derp Devil said, "Curious, Brett, did the sounds go off for the after hours crisis party on Friday?
Yes.
We saw the lights and that you reacted, but there was no audio."
No, it absolutely went off, my friend. It was awesome. That was it was one more great surprise for our guests on Friday, who I absolutely loved having Heather and Derek here. They were great. We got to get them back on sometime with you. Like, they have some stories, man. They got some great stories.
Fear Me It's Bree said, "Look, Titanic is my favorite movie. I watch it yearly, but I'll recognize Rose is an awful person, and I always point out every historical inaccuracy. I also had a high fever first watch Titanic, so..."
It's also like, if that movie's a testament to anything, it's the fact that Americans haven't completely lost their attention span if they can still watch it because it's so damn long.
Yeah. But I like the way that those older movies are paced.
Oh, like mid plus, they'll say. Look, it's kind of like a schmedium. Like,
mid plus?
Like if they're talking about giving her a name, like a grade scale, like a small medium is a schmedium. So like a mid above mid would be a mid plus.
Yeah, I just think the obsession with like debating about like women's ratings on a scale.
It also becomes a commentary on the person saying it, because then it becomes about whether it's like, oh, well, you're no prize. Like, look, I get it. I'm not a prize. That does not mean I can't make a good movie either. Doesn't mean I can't critique a movie when it comes out. I don't have to be good looking to critique whether somebody else is good looking.
Right.
Even if I am the speak no evil guy, it's not like I hold that against somebody else who says Zendaya is not attractive.
Yeah, with movies and music too. Like, I don't need to be a musician to know whether I like a song or not. I don't need to be a director to judge whether I like a movie.
I do like Derp Devil's comment here. He says, Zendaya has the face that looks like she has to strain to smile. She does always look like she's like...
Yeah.
Like every morning she has to do this to make sure it works still.
The trailer for her new movie about, like, what is it? She's like a tennis player or whatever.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
No, but I saw the thing where
there's these two white guys who are obsessed with her for years.
I guess is that like a threesome or something?
Rules this like weird like findom relationship she has with them.
Very odd. There's some amazing memes, like videos of like, it says like, it must be really hard to be Tom Holland right now. And it's like, it's just a video, and they like CGI tears of him. And they're like, it's like a guy like, or another one, the guy's like, hey guy, he's like, hey Tom, he's like, oh hey guys, he's like, oh I'm here to watch Zendaya today. They're like, oh, what scene? They're like, the train scene. He goes, the train scene? There's no set built. He goes, the train scene. And the guy's like, and then it just cuts to him going, but that's not how it would actually be in Hollywood. Now he'd be like, oh honey, you embodied that girl getting drilled by two dudes. You did such a great job on set today.
Yeah.
Like,
tired of pretending that's normal.
You looked like you loved it when both those dudes got inside you at the same time. That was great.
Ugh. Corn Pop said, "Welcome back, Mrs. Mary." Thank you. Corn Pop became polite all of a sudden.
Thank you.
Mr. X said, "My friend's machining teacher helped build the sub." What? Small world.
I'm gonna give some unsolicited advice here. Don't put that on the resume.
Yeah. No. Deuce Boogaloo, he's like, this was a learning experience for me.
He's like, I really
tears.
He's like, look, I got a lot out of that job. Like I've grown as a person, as an employee.
Like, can you explain this gap in your resume?
What do they always say like that? Like whenever somebody says, can you explain this gap in your resume? You say, well, can you explain this company's high turnover?
Deuce Boogaloo said, Brett, birthday gift ideas. Burn Notice box set, $100 Lids gift card, Lauren Boebert cardboard cutout, Tony Hawk as a PCC guest.
Tony Hawk would do nothing
That
for me.
would be difficult.
Tony Hawk would do nothing for me because I rollerblade, not skateboard. The Lauren Boebert, wait, like at first
Link me to the cardboard cutouts or body pillows of Lauren Boebert.
Or can we get a Lids cardboard cutout and a $100 Lauren Boebert gift card?
Can we get Lauren Boebert on the show?
I was explaining to Tim last night about like it's like after it was like that became like a running joke that I was super into her, and then like how I got tagged in all the articles about her divorce, and I was like, well, this is a little bit morbid.
It's becoming too real.
It's a little bit morbid. Like I don't want her to show up here and be like, is that the guy whose name has been tagged in all of my posts for the last year?
Fourth Greenery said, news about people trapped down under miners' submarine captivate minds because they're Persephone's myth rewritten always for solstice or equinox. Eleusinian mystery?
Also, isn't it one of those things where like we love the idea of the Hollywood ending, right? Where they get saved at the last minute. Everyone loves that story.
Yeah.
Like that is a like I said, I was just watching a television show that did an episode about this where they're racing against time to save this kid who's stuck in a sinkhole. They've got the air calculator on the screen. And it's just, that's very, very human to want to watch or to want to see stories like that.
Remember the miners that got trapped?
Yep.
What year was that? Because I remember, like, I was a kid when that happened, and it was a big deal.
There was also the movie with Ben Affleck, Deepwater Horizon. I think was that what that one was about? Or
isn't The Martian also kind of like that, like getting trapped in space?
Well, yeah, he's trapped on. And he's gotta science the shit out of it. Like if you want to know where our culture's weird blind obsession with science comes from, it's Matt Damon saying, "I'm gonna have to science the shit out of it."
He said that.
Yeah,
that's an actual line.
It's something like that. It's
that's very Redditor. I effing love science.
Yeah.
That's a little too much for me.
And it's been that way for a while. Like we're just like, you know where it was born out of? The atheist movement.
Yeah.
I think it comes from the same
Cringe.
mindset.
Because Reason said, Brett, great job on Cass Castle not long ago. You have no idea how funny that was to me. What was your?
I did something for Wesley where he comes up here. Oh, he comes up here and asks me to help an episode, and I just say no. And then he's like, no. He's like, please, and I'm like, nope. And then he turns around. I'm like, wait. And he's like, he comes back up thinking I'm about to change my mind. I'm like, who would be a good James Bond?
I need to catch up on Cass Castle.
I should try to help out more, but I'm always like, I just don't.
He hasn't been asking me.
No.
I guess it's because I've been gone for a while. Corey Anderson said, when will Aiden be back? He read all the super chats.
Well,
I have been reading all the super chats.
Oh, there was one example where somebody sent a super chat, and then I don't even remember what they said. Where they were like, "I'm glad you read that." I was pretty like, if Mary was there, I don't think she would have read it.
Well, they were probably sending crazier stuff just because they knew Aiden would read it.
They're like, "Go ahead."
They behave themselves when I'm here.
Well,
that's why you need me.
Somebody's got to keep them in line.
Yeah.
All right, guys. All right, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video? Would you subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? We are on the road. I want to get us to 75,000. I really, really do. Okay. We passed 63,000. Guys, subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. That is me from one person to another. Please do so. And share the videos with your friends if you've not done that so other people can watch this show. Get into it. We got one more super chat there from High Voltage 75.
Sorry, it's not here yet.
Oh, it says, I'll read it. It says, crew, does anyone from your family watch PCC? Mom, dad, siblings, cousins? Have they ever commented to you about it? Mary?
Yeah. My brother watches a lot of it. And when I first started, my parents were watching all of it, but it's just so much content. Yeah. No one can keep up with it.
You have to care about celebrity. Like your paternal love can only go so far. Like I don't think my dad gives enough of a crap about Meghan Markle, Tom Cruise, or any celebrity to like watch through all of it. Like it's just I don't expect them to, and that's fine.
That's okay.
You know, it's if you work a job, it's not. When I worked, when I managed an apartment complex, I didn't expect my dad to ask me questions about what it was like managing an apartment complex. So, all right, we got one more there from Seth Essington.
He just said bye.
Bye. Okay.
Bye, Seth.
Speaking of which, Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or send me hate on Twitter. That is also Mary Archived. And I am hoping to do a meme review again soon. I know it's been a while, but I have compiled a list that we're going to go through. So if you have any last minute submissions that you would like to put in for a meme review, go to the subreddit for Pop Culture Crisis, and they will be submitted for consideration.
All right. All right, guys, if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I almost said TikTok for some reason. That was weird.
Get on TikTok.
Instagram and Twitter at Brett Dastovic on both of those platforms. Please remember that Pop Culture Crisis is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's New Pacific. I'm not going to do that. On Friday, we were having such a hard time getting out of here because all the Superchats I did. I was like, welcome to the sound like an auctioneer. We got one more there from That's Danzatastic.
Please don't go yet. Also, please put numeral numbers so I know what to donate for Crisis Party. Also, when is Phil going to make a Crisis Party song with All That Remains?
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I have to look into the numeral thing. That like the automation and the crisis meter and all that stuff is separate and is not. I did not create any of that, so that would have to be somebody else that did the graphics for that, created the animation for that. So we'll look into it. But right now, if you were wondering right now what you'd have to donate to get another Crisis Party before we went, that would be
math is hard.
Yeah, it is. It's $18. That's what somebody would have to donate now if they wanted to get another Crisis Party.
Or maybe when the outro is playing.
Yeah, if somebody wanted that Crisis Party to play when the outro is playing, they could donate the $18 if they wanted to. That's up to them. Yeah. Guys, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you'd like to listen rather than watch, we're on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. We never say this, but go and give 5-star reviews on all of those platforms, right? Like, we need the 5-star reviews, guys. One more from Derp Devil says, come on now, it's not even 6 yet. Stay a while.
We've done way past 6 before.
No.
You'll get a long show.
What?
We'll get a long show in the near future.
It is.
Don't worry
we're
about
at 2 hours and 30 minutes. We've been here for a while. Guys, what did I did that. Okay, social media, Twitter, at @popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok, at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram, at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. And we just got the last one, and it's not updating on the list there.
Thank you. That stands a task.
Thank you. It did not. Yep, it should have gone.
Do you want to stay until the Crisis Party goes?
We could go.
Not gonna lie, I'm feeling a little bit nauseous, and I don't know why.
Yep. It didn't clear the meter. I'm gonna do it. Says it did it, but the meter's acting up. Oh, there it is.
Oh, we also got one in Canadian money from Dave Gazzulli. Boom, Crisis Party. It's party time.
Yes, it is. All right, so we could wait for it, or we could just set it off now.
Whatever you decide, Matt.
Well, I have no problem with just hanging out here until it goes off. That doesn't bother me.
That's
not
fine.
one bit.
I just might throw up. It's okay.
Please don't. That would not be good. I don't want you to throw up. That's bad.
I'll try not to.
And then one more from High Voltage 75.
Brett, you said it. Thank you.
It's party time.
I set that one off manually too, so there's going to be another one that goes off. High Voltage 75.
Yep. Brett, you said it was a short week. Will PCC be on July 3rd, Monday?
No, okay, so guys, next week I will be out of town the 1st through the 5th, so we will be back on the 6th on Thursday. It's going to be a short week that week, so I apologize for that. And then a couple more there, Mary.
1000 Foot Deep End said, since Brett blew through his outro on Friday, I support his idea for episode 400.
Oh, I told them about your pitch for the full day episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think that'll be fun, and it's like less pressure, you know?
I mean, it's going to be one of those things where they're going to have to temper their expectations, right? We're not going to be like super engaging the whole time. It's going to be us like literally working and talking and all of these things all at the same time.
Justin G said, keeping super chatting until Mary barfs. JK, Mary, feel better.
And one more from Derp Devil.
He said, Barfcast IRL. You can do it, Mary.
And then one from Dash Fortune.
Dash Fortune said, "Happy Monday, cheers."
Okay, guys, that is
Happy
everything.
Monday.
Yep, and she's like, it's great if it switches to PTZ just as you spew all over the table. All right, guys, we'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Thank you.
Later.
Bye.